1000, Batman.
Wow. Welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks by the Long Island Comic Guys. We got just Jim here. We've got Toy Story Matt. We got TC. We've got some 2 special guests with us today. I wasn't supposed to head this up today because somebody dropped the ball, but whatever. I'll take over. So we've got 2 special guests with us. This is our fourth episode. Fourth episode, and we're gonna talk about.
You guys have more than one episode?
We had more than one.
Yeah. Wow. You mean you haven't listened to them all?
It's okay. Don't worry. Jim doesn't listen to them either.
I don't listen to them either. So this is going to be our Batman.
In honor of Detective Comics 1000.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to let Matt take over. All right. So Matt, why don't you finish us up here?
Matt just gets really nervous when it's his turn to speak.
Go for it, Matt.
We've heard he's had performance issues. It's fine.
Guys, that's supposed to be a secret. Come on.
Oh, I thought this was just in terms of the podcast. Is there something else you want to talk to us about?
Save it for afterwards.
Ongoing.
All right, back to Detective Comics 1000. So this is our special episode of talking about 1000 issues of Detective Comics. And I don't know where we're going to start with this.
We brought the people who know the most about Batman that we could find.
Our 2 very good friends, Zach Davino and Tom Pollari.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tom, is it true you are currently wearing Batman boxers?
Yes, I am, ladies.
And are you also wearing Batman socks?
I come prepared for all situations. Just like Batman.
And a Batman shirt.
And 7 Batmans tattooed on his arm.
Yes, that is by Undead Ink. I am going to be repping them all night. Mike Harrow, if you're listening, this is for you.
He gets a free tattoo out of this.
Is it 7? Is it actually 7? It's 5, but who's counting?
7.
7? 7?
Which one?
7.
You're a Friends fan.
Guilty as charged.
I don't know what's going on, but okay.
So which Batmans you got on you?
I have Batman by Bruce Timm, a Jim Lee, a Neil Adams, Michael Keaton, the best Batman, and Frank Miller.
Nice.
We're going to have to take a picture of that and post it on the account later.
That's gonna
I can't believe we've never done that before.
Undead Ink.
That's going to be the thumbnail.
Oh, don't worry. We will tag them. We might not even
Adam and Tony
say,
too.
we might not mention you, but we're just going to talk about Mike
Just
Carroll.
tag them.
Can you
Undead
just
did not pay us
Can you
for
just
this
give us
promotion.
answers that Mike Carroll would give if he were here?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. So we'd like to get started out by getting your guys' origin stories, if you will. How you got into comics, maybe how you got into Batman, if that plays a part into how you got into comics. So whoever wants to go first.
Beauty can go before the age.
Wow.
You're only a few months older than me, man. All right, so my story, I guess, begins...
When I was born.
Yes, the year was 1980. No, so I guess I just realized I've been reading comic books like continuously since 1996. I was into like superheroes before that. This specifically the 1992 Batman the Animated Series. I was really into that series. I would watch that whenever it was on. It was on Fox for a little while, and then it made the jump to the WB. But that was the series I was reading. I was watching, and that's actually what wound up getting me into comics. In the first place, it was like Easter 1996. My aunt gave me an Easter basket, and in that basket was a Batman and Robin Adventures number 5. It is the series that's like it runs alongside the Batman the Animated Series. It was when the 3rd season started up, so it was when they were trying to give Robin like a more prominent role. So they did instead of Batman the Batman Adventures series, which ran for 36 issues. This was like the 5th issue of the 2nd series. So it was Batman and Robin Adventures. I read it cover to cover. I mean, I still have that comic. The spine is absolutely creased. It looks awful, but like it's a prized possession of mine. Recently, I reread that issue. It was absolutely awful. Usually, those series were really good, great done-in-one stories. Artwork was always dynamic. If you want a crash course in, dynamic storytelling, those done in one Batman Adventures issues.
Did you say it was a duo, a dynamic duo?
No, I said the artwork was dynamic. God, The following month, I walked into my local Genovese, and by referring to Genovese, yes,
Now Eckerd.
showing my age. No, it's no longer Eckerd. I think it's now just all Rite Aid. I don't know.
Oh no.
We don't know where. But I walked into my local Genovese, and the next issue of it was on the stands there, and it had this great cover, Batman Robin's Adventures #6. It was a takeoff on an old Detective Comics cover. I want to say 384, but it's probably wrong. But it's like the Batman Fires Robin cover, and I had to have it.
Do you still have that original Batman Adventures 5 that you got? For
I
Easter?
honestly do.
That's cool.
That's really
I
cool.
actually I bought the rest of that series. I was continuing to read those books. I eventually gave those issues away to a girlfriend's younger sister, but I held on to that #5 because it was my first one. But yeah, no, I kept picking up the issues week after week after week at the not week after week, but month after month at that Genovese near my grammar school. And I fell out of it for maybe like 6 months, a year, and I jumped back in when they did Batman and Gotham Adventures. And then like 2000 hit, X-Men movie came out, and I just like started picking up everything. Like it was bad.
Did you go back, or did you just start at whatever was going on?
Yeah. So one of the big things people talk about is when you're a comic book reader, like every issue is someone's first. So you just jump in wherever it is, and you kind of figure it out from there.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of getting.
Oh yeah. So I was reading. So I was reading the Batman Gotham Adventures series for the longest time. I jumped in on Uncanny X-Men at like issue 385. Batman was right around issue 585. It was like Ed Brubaker had taken over the title a few issues earlier. And then just like it ballooned out from there like crazy. But yeah, so I just been reading for forever. I worked at a comic shop when I was in high school, a place in Bayside called Heroes Hideout. Went to school for illustration, St. John's University art department. Hello. And I wound up working at a comic shop after I graduated from that college. 2009 was kind of a rough year for artists, or pretty much anybody trying to find a job, period. But Tommy at Best Comics kind of took me in, and I worked there for a good 6 years.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like what you said. I never really thought about it this way, where every book could possibly be someone's first book.
Absolutely.
It's just it's kind of an interesting concept when you think about it.
Yeah.
So like you just kind of jump into it, you figure it out from there. I mean, I went back and I bought stuff, and I've since bought a lot of Batman comics. I said I started at issue 585. My earliest issue consecutively is I think 279 maybe.
Are there any gaps after that?
No, I have them straight up.
Do you have some older, just not straight?
Oh yeah. I have earlier issues. I think my earliest ones.
Batwoman?
What's that?
Is that first Batwoman in there?
No, not the first Batwoman. My earliest one's somewhere in the early 100s. My goal is to try and get all of the new look Batmans, like the Carmine Infantino
I love Carmine
1960s TV series looking stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like a Batman 164. My goal is to get 164 straight up. I mean, I have a lot of the early issues. I got like a 181. I got a Poison Ivy. I picked that up at a Big Apple Comic Con when I was like 13, 14 for like $12. It's missing the centerfold. I don't care.
I have one.
I've got to get one. I love that cover.
Me too.
Oh, that story's terrible.
I don't want to
so
read it.
bad.
But it's a great. I got mine. I think last year from Big Apple. Mine's graded.
I think it might have been 2 years ago now, which
2
is
years.
crazy.
May have been 2 years ago.
We got that from Lee.
Oh,
We got it
nice.
from Lee. What's
Yeah.
the guy, Harley, I think.
Harley.
And he just got it. It was like
Yeah, he literally just bought it from someone else. And he
Like
Jim
that
went
day?
up and asked, and he was like, yeah, I actually just got one.
Like you bought it at the shop?
bought it at the show.
I
Bought
believe
it at
that.
the show.
That's awesome.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite. It's one book I've always wanted. I love the cover, and
It's a great cover. It's that green and red and
Yeah,
white.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that's awesome.
yeah, good stuff.
Yes.
Tom,
So
how
I'll-
about you?
Well, first, I really want to thank you guys. I never thought I'd be invited. To our millions of viewers at home. Viewers? Listeners?
Listeners.
That's it, listeners. The biggest podcast in America right now. Quite excited to be here.
We're quite excited you could fit us into your schedule.
Well, I didn't think I was popular, but I've been told many times I have a face for radio, so I'm just excited to be here. Batman. I don't know. born.
Well,
in
your
87.
specific comic book origin story, it doesn't have to be Batman, but we figured, considering your two guys' reputation, it would be Batman.
Well, yeah, it would be Batman. The movie just came out when I was like 2 years old, so it was a pretty big deal. Father was a fan of comic books growing up for a while. He had a Fantastic Four #1 that his sister threw out, so we won't get into that one because that could have been
dad
mine.
has a similar story, but we'll talk about that after.
Oh, I know that story. That's a good story.
Zach's going to top me yet again. If you didn't know this, me and Zach also went to high school together. And when they ran out
They didn't know it either.
We never
when they ran out of skinnier Caucasian people in the group I was in, I was replaced by Zach, and that was the end of my friendships.
Wow.
We never spoke to each other until after college.
In a comic book store. Who knew? So, yeah. Similar to, the Batmania going on in the early 90s animated series, I, before that, watched the 66 Batman, which I can now no longer tolerate. More serious Batman fan. Can't really take the boom bound pows anymore or anything like that. It was good for its time. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I remember fondly one of my first comic books being Batman the Animated Series, the first annual. Still have that one.
Nice.
I tore the cover off to enter the Batman Beyond Draw the New Batman contest. Mine went something along the lines of the 1990 Azrael Batman. So nobody liked that one. I did not win. But yeah, I took a little bit of a hiatus after a few years. Got back into it around I would say 2004, 2005. Royal Comics in Queens. Mike. Just saying.
We hope to have on here one day.
Exactly.
We're working on something.
Guys
Their new
guys are
store.
great.
Oh, congratulations! Just quickly for their new store opening in Astoria.
Yes, good job,
If you're
guys.
in that
You guys are
area,
killing it.
check them out.
Not open until end of May, right? March, right?
Next week, Tuesday,
Is it
they're opening.
next week? Oh, wow.
They said they're having a soft opening on Tuesday, I
Great.
think.
We'll give out in the show notes. We'll give out the address and everything, and the details of where that shop is. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Tom.
I can't
Sorry.
say enough about no problem. Cut me off. Everyone else does. Anyway,
Can I finish my story, please?
I get abused in every medium. So yeah, I took a hiatus for a while. I don't know. I was always drawn to the art in comic books. Reading was never my strong point. I was hooked on phonics for many, many years. It's a problem. So getting back into it around 2005, got into detective again. Batman.
Hooked on phonics worked for me.
It did. I will say that it did. Got into the David Finch run of Moon Knight. Right around that time, Ghost Rider was coming back from a long hiatus. I don't know, it just seemed like a perfect storm to get back into it. And Royal suggested this book about zombies, black and white. Thought it was garbage.
And you bought it, right?
They told me to buy issue 1, and I'm like, $100. What loser would spend it on a black and white comic? So I picked up from around issue 30 of Walking Dead.
You didn't even get 27?
I don't even think. No,
27's First Governor now.
No, I missed that one. I got his death and a few issues after that, and I'm like, this is garbage. Who would read this? And
Dude, I spent
so-
2 weeks straight reading that entire thing.
No, I couldn't get into it. I'm like, this is.
I remember picking up
Really?
both compendiums.
I was so far out of it at that point. I had no idea what's going on. There was some weird thing. This guy's getting killed. I don't know why they're so aggravated at this guy.
Wait, did you jump in then?
Oh yeah, I jumped in there.
You didn't go back?
No,
Oh my
nothing at all.
God.
I gave everything 2 issues and stopped reading. Yeah, after that I just got hooked again. Started getting into statues shortly after that.
Sorry.
The guy on my left here, Zach, probably cost me
So sorry.
in the many, many thousands of dollars in statues.
Well, if you're going to blame him, my last episode, I specifically blamed you because I mentioned
this is a cycle.
the 13 sideshow boxes
Yeah.
unopened in my closet. There's more coming, and I have about 20 up in my office. So
You're welcome.
thank you.
That is
Thank
your
you,
kid's
sir.
college tuition right there. You're welcome.
I think that might be on me. I'm sorry, guys.
Yes, he
Yeah.
started
Can
this
we just
all.
say that these two guys sitting in front of us, they're basically the reason that we all met, I think.
I mean, I think the kind of we can probably attribute to us meeting them to this whole thing happening, because I would have never gone out to Jim on the train on the Long Island Railroad when I saw his Midtown Comics bag if I didn't get into it. I mean, I started going to Best Comics in 2013. Zach was working there at the time, and he was like kind of guiding me around about what I should read, what I shouldn't, and then I was like, hey, I might want to buy some older books, and I feel like red lights went off in the store, and they brought out the red carpet for me. But, and then on Wednesdays, these guys were like, hey, we hang out afterwards. I was like, do you want to do that? I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then just snowballed from there.
And it hasn't stopped since.
I know.
To think that when Zach first said he knew me from high school, I was really tempted to leave that store and never.
Look how you would have affected the world.
I mean, millions of people would be without us right now.
Clarence, are you there? Clarence?
Every time a bell rings, a geek gets its wings.
Because I'm a nerd.
So do you guys want to get into... So I guess our kind of plan today is kind of talk about Batman, obviously. It's a pretty big landmark, hitting 1,000 issues for Detective Comics. We want to talk about everything from the purple gloves to the Batawang.
You sure you don't want Jeff on the show for that one?
Oh, no.
Have we told that story?
We have.
I think in our origin issue.
I think in your first episode.
did, yeah.
So it's funny because where I think I saw either Terrificon or
It was Terrificon.
Big Apple that he's going to now recently, or Azarello.
Okay.
So he's going to one of those. I was like, Jeff, you totally have to hit this up and continue your conversation with Brian Azarello.
I feel like this needs a caption box where it's just like, please see the first episode of
Oh yeah,
Don't
absolutely,
Feed the Geeks.
absolutely. There it is. You just did it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's get into our first experience with Batman. Our meaning us three.
Yeah, I
If you
mean,
guys want to.
I think
I don't know how into Batman you guys are.
But Jim, I don't think I was really too much into Batman early on. I remember watching the Batman 66, Sunday mornings, or, they were pretty much new, I think. I mean, I grew up in the early 70s, so I was watching this on TV, and I remember everything. And one of my vivid memories of that show was the movie that they had, with, Batman running on the pier with a big bomb on his head and trying to throw it
Some
over.
days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Can't get rid of a bomb. And, the dehydrating of the UN members and all that good stuff. So
Was that also the shark repellent episode too?
Yeah,
Where he's on the ladder and the rubber shark's coming up.
That was the movie.
It is the movie.
It is 100% the movie. They also noted they landed on the foam mattress convention or something along those lines.
And what's nice is that, I'm going to say probably 3 years ago, I got to fly in that Batcopter.
That's right. I forgot you did that.
It was at a local fair here at the Coliseum that we have.
And you didn't invite us?
And it was
You were the bravest person in the world.
it was a
to get
great
into that thing.
experience to be able to fly in that.
That's
And
amazing.
everybody, all their autographs were on the center console of this Bell, helicopter with, it was an open canopy, and I got to fly in it. And, I typically wouldn't have done that, but because it was the original Batcopter, I said the heck with it. And it was probably the best $100 I spent to fly in a helicopter. And it was they did 2 laps around the Coliseum, and
Dude, that's awesome.
it was awesome. It was the greatest experience to be able to fly in the original Batcopter. But I think my first introduction with Batman would be the Batman 66, the shows and the movie. Which they still play the movie. I see it every so often. It's still on TV.
Yeah,
occasionally.
I think I stole the VHS from the library when I was a kid. They had.
That's a
remember you
federal
could
offense, right?
Of course, that's what I do when I go to the library. I would go there to rent movies.
What are your library fees at this point?
I don't know.
And
I probably owe $10,000.
And I like the Big Bam and the Wham. And I mean, no other show had that type of stuff. I mean, it was it was bringing
nostalgic value.
It was the way I looked at it was bringing the comic book
That's what people think of when
to
they
the
think comic
show,
books.
like it was there.
For a while, it was almost to a detriment. That's what people were
Yeah.
thinking of when they thought of comic books, and they thought of those things. They were thinking of the Batman 66 TV series.
It's no, it's not.
Yeah, which Marvel has now completely changed and completely
It's
altered the
unfortunate for
perception.
Adam West too. They kind of ruined his career.
Yeah, it stopped Batman. There was movies in production or ready to go in the 70s after Superman was such a hit, but that whole value of the 66 show literally ruined it for decades
That's
until
insane.
89.
What about you, Matt? What was your earliest Batman experience?
So I think everybody watched the animated series as a kid, and I mean, when I was a kid, and you didn't.
Nope, I did not watch the animated series.
Well, he wasn't.
You didn't?
No, you were.
I was
you did.
older. I was older though.
Yeah. Well, when I was watching that as a kid, I don't think I even knew what comic books were. So like that's something that I think that's really cool about that. Like there's so many kids who watched that show that probably didn't even know what comic books were. But it's just so cool that Batman's able to reach that demographic of people. I don't know. I've always thought that was cool.
And it wasn't like a kid show in the fact that it was meandering to children or Sorry, I'm too far away from the microphone. I've been signaled to get closer.
It's all right. We like to show people behind the curtain. You can talk about
good,
it.
perfect. I'll just keep moving further and further away. It wasn't like meandering to children. It was just like, hey, we'll just dumb everything down. There was some pretty heavy stuff in there.
There was, yeah.
The Mask of the Phantasm. I can throw it out there as probably being the best Batman origin story on film. It was heavy. It was a lot.
I can still watch that show today. No problem.
I watch it every couple of months. I'll just throw in a couple episodes.
It's awesome.
But worth it.
I definitely have to agree with you. There was definitely a respect for like the kids who were watching at that time. They made it for children, but they weren't kind of pandering to children.
Yeah, like there was so much I didn't understand as a kid, but like a lot of things you don't need to really. But yeah, so that's my first real Batman experience. But like in terms of comics, I remember it was one of the first few months that I started reading comics when I went to Best Comics, and Zach offered me a job. That was my first job.
I'm sorry.
It's you're responsible for all this, all the money I've spent over the last few years.
I'm sorry.
No, but you recommended the Court of Owls hardcover,
Which was awesome.
Yeah. I had never read anything like Hush or Long Halloween or Dark Knight
also
Returns.
my first story, yeah.
So up until even still today, when I think Batman, I think that story.
I didn't love all of Snyder's run on the title.
I didn't, but that book itself is so
The
good.
fifth issue where Batman is stuck in the maze and it starts to flip upside down. I was driving today and I was thinking about that issue and how I got to that page. I turned the page, I had it flipped upside down, and then I turned the next page and I was lost. It's one of the greatest gimmicks in comics.
It works so well.
I got lost just like Batman did that issue, and it was fantastic. It was so well done. It's a gimmick, but at the same time, it worked perfectly for the story, so it didn't read as a gimmick.
Yeah, that's what blew me away about that, and that made me like, oh my god, I gotta read everything else now.
Yes.
How about you, TC?
Yeah, so I think it was probably the 66 series, but I don't really remember that as much. The thing I do remember pretty prominently is my dad. They had this, I mentioned this in our origin story, they had like this shipping container thing where there was like a line of them where people would sell like trinkets and stuff like that. But my dad was actually going into the city and getting like these awesome Batman t-shirts. He had a lot of the ones with like, just the Batman emblem like they have in the 89 Batman, but he got a lot of like really awesome art, which even in the other episode, I said my dad probably doesn't realize this, but it was a lot of Frank Miller art. And like these were amazing t-shirts. And my dad was like, they were cleaning up in Coney Island because nobody had those out there. Like you had to trek into the city to find them. So my dad basically said to my grandfather, he goes, listen, we made so much money selling these t-shirts. Let's just go see this movie that just came out. And he brought me the 89 movie. And it just like that 89 Michael Keaton Batman movie. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that up to that point. And granted, I was probably like 5 years old. And the only other movie I really remember seeing is Master of the Universe in 1987. But I mean, just to see Batman, like, seeing that 66 probably, and then going to see that, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
Just the way the buildings looked.
It was incredible.
That whole style.
I mean, even to this day, I watched that movie and I do really enjoy the Christopher Nolan movies, but they don't eclipse that in any way. To me personally, it was an incredible movie and it definitely left a lasting impression on me.
And you got to credit Tim Burton for that. I mean,
absolutely.
For him to do the first movie after like the 66, like
that's a lot to live up. Like not live up to. That's a lot. That's a what's the word?
Burden.
Yeah.
Heavy burden.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else would have done it better. I think it was perfect the way it was done.
He took a big chance on Michael Keaton, a relative like comedy actor only at that point. Be a big action hero, like a summer tentpole movie in 1989. If it flopped, that was a big deal. This was a big chance they were taking. And
he's short too.
Yeah.
Like he's really short.
And you put him up against Jack Nicholson, who could have easily stolen the show and just been like, which is always a problem with Batman movies.
He definitely held his own.
Yeah, he held his own. It was a great movie for its time. I still love it. I'll watch it. Batman 1 and Batman Returns, I enjoy them.
I feel like Michael Keaton would have actually loved to have played the Joker. Like that one scene where they're in Vicky Vale's apartment. I was like, I feel like he's a Joker at this point. He goes, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." I was like, is this Batman?
Good stuff.
Yep. It's funny that it brought up night and day between the 66 and 89 series. All of the 66 series was shot during the daytime. There was no bat signal because they couldn't project it against the night sky. That's why you had the bat phone.
That's why you had the red phone.
Yeah.
Funny.
So it literally was a difference between night and day.
Yeah.
They left it that Batman was in the shadows. He wasn't pictured. There was no photographs. You remember that whole bit with, what's that guy's name? Knox?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
yes.
that guy.
Knox.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions in the Travers that no one knew who wasn't in continuity.
Yes. I couldn't remember. I immediately heard the name and I was like, it's Henchman Bob. It's got to be Henchman Bob. This is going back 2 episodes.
When you were listening to it, you mean?
I was listening to it the other day. I was thinking that the guy was Henchman Bob, and then I realized that it was the wrong actor. It definitely wasn't. But I couldn't put my finger on his name.
Bob did have an action figure, though.
He did have an action figure. I had that action figure. Yeah, no, but the 89 movie, it was all filmed during the nighttime. Batman was an urban legend like he should have been, which is something that when I started reading comic books, like that was one of the things. Like Batman wasn't the guy that was going in front of like the cameras for the Justice League. He was the guy who was
He wasn't the city detective.
He was hanging back in the shadows, so he was a creature of the night, and that was awesome. Yeah. Bringing him back to kind of those roots was great, and that was how I knew him. But everyone's got their Batman.
Yeah.
So since we're going into like the different kind of interpretations, I guess let's kind of take it back to the beginning. So when he first came out, Detective Comics, was it 27? Is that the number?
27.
I'm not sure. I've never heard if that was a big book or not.
I think it only actually started at 27 when he showed up. There was no other Detective Comics before that. I should have just called it 1, but...
So what was that, 1939?
Yeah, 39.
So he had a very different look, and he could have had a greater of a different look had it not been for Bill Finger,
Absolutely.
as we've learned now. Mm-hmm. So, you guys want to shed your thoughts on that?
Have you guys read any of that early stuff? I know it's like hard to get through because it's early comic books, but
I think I have actually purchased from Zach. I have one of the old detective those collections. I read a few. It is a little hard to read, but you know what? It's crazy to think that was a whole different era. That's we're in the Great Depression in America at that point. And this is a character, that could have just gotten swept under the rug, and that's it. He dresses like a bat and goes and fights crime. He used a gun back then too, which is just a no-no in Batman.
And he had no superpowers.
Still doesn't.
He can't talk to fish, Jim. He can't talk to fish.
Yeah. No, he talks to the water, and the water talks to the fish. That's what it is.
I think being uber rich is probably a pretty good superpower.
But still human at the end of the day. A bullet can still kill the rich people.
He's super intelligent.
That's his big thing. It's, a guy, he was in a time where everybody has superpower or some kind of gimmick. Just a regular guy on the street, And
I feel like that's sometimes easier for people to relate to, which is why they kind of identify with those people.
Deal.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he didn't have any superpowers. He didn't get bit by a radioactive bug. Mm-hmm. He didn't come from some lame planet that blew up, because it was too it was such a bad planet.
Wow.
Yeah, he just beats up on mentally handicapped people who can't defend themselves.
Wow.
He's a real role model to the world. He inspires so much hope.
He does.
So Marvel Comics in the 60s got a lot of readership from the fact that their heroes seemed realistic. Peter Parker was a kind of a nebbish little kid, and he was constantly worried about money. Daredevil couldn't see. He had he was blind, and he's constantly worried that he's not doing things correctly.
Hulk is outcast,
right? Hulk has his problems with his anger. He loses his temper.
Even though they had superpowers, they were still relatable.
I think the reason Batman's had such an enduring legacy is because, yes, he's super rich. He's got a lot of money, but at the end of the day, he's just a man. So he's a man who dedicates his mind, his body, his talents, his everything to this mission that he's put himself on. So he's like the pinnacle of human potential. And I think that's what the relatable factor of this character is.
Yeah, I mean, I jest with the Batman, but I think he does have.
He also does beat up mentally disturbed people.
He
Yeah,
does,
he does.
confirmed.
It's kind of messed up. What he does.
Probably
when you
spend
think
that
about
money
it.
on better social
Yeah,
programs.
it's like
I'm just saying.
all this money he has. He's like, you can't just keep them in a better facility. It seems like Arkham doesn't have the proper funds to run this hospital.
He could probably fund them.
Yeah, exactly.
So going back to money, do we know, like in today's standards, like what is he worth?
I think he's ranked above Tony Stark, or right on par with Tony Stark, but below Black Panther. Since Black Panther,
He's like a monarch.
Yeah.
Is that like Bill Gates, like 65
person.
billion?
Oh, yeah, like in the billions, but
are we
yeah.
talking billion? Like, has that been figured out?
Someone
see him being
calculated
that rich.
how much a bat suit would cost to make. Do you guys remember this? It was something like $6 billion.
No, not the
Was
bat
it?
suit. No. But
That sounds like an Iron Man armor.
Yeah. Got to be a couple $100,000 for that bat
I'm
suit.
fact checking.
We're getting fact checked on the spot here.
So I guess like while Matt's looking through that, let's go back to what you said, how he used to use the gun, and he's kind of done a lot of transformations. Like, so we know that whole seduction of the innocents happened in like the 40s, 50s, where like it kind of coincided with Batman getting a lot campier, and then like
So bad.
And getting rid of
how
just
long did it
being,
really take for him to go from the dark and gritty, and then like when did he get like when I feel like the campy part of him really was kind of a tough time for like readership.
I think he if you can, again, going back to coming in differently in every different era, he changes with the times of like the country's going through. Think about like the 60s were a dark time, you had Vietnam, all that kind of stuff. So comic books became a little easier to read. They didn't hit so many, hard topics. And then when the world, was changing and the kids weren't, I guess a little nullified seeing all the violence on TV. He started changing. The Joker got more violent, stopped being more of like a campier figure, and the whole world started rolling with it. So from decade to decade, he kind of changes with the time of, what he's trying to reach.
So when was it that he like started getting dark again? I was trying to
Say
figure it
late
out.
70s, like right around like Neil Adams' time.
Neil Adams' run on the book definitely.
Like late 70s?
Yeah, definitely.
The origin story is the same early on, though, right? Like his parents died after the.
It's always been the
It's
same.
never, that's one of the origins that hasn't changed.
That's
right?
never changed.
Only people who haven't come back to life still. His parents are still dead.
Well, in this universe, right?
Right.
Yes, well, let's not go to Flashpoint.
Right. Yeah, so he was really goofy through like the fifth, like really goofy through the 50s. But a lot of the superhero books that survived the 50s were really goofy at that time. He was constantly fighting like invaders from outer space. There was like the rainbow suit Batman story was in the 50s, 60s.
Oh, I remember that.
I've seen that cover.
My God! I mentioned it before. The New Look Batman stories. So it was Batman 164. Oh man, I used to know this off the top of my head.
That one. The one with the mask. He's like, it's Robin's pointing out that his mask changed.
No. That was a Detective Comics issue. The 164 is like Batman getting struck by lightning, but like it was the bat symbol changed on his chest. The way that they drew him changed. The way that they drew Robin changed. The stories were a little bit not darker. They were just a little bit more realistic. He wasn't fighting like space invaders, and he wasn't fighting people from Dimension Z, Batmite. Oh, that was the Beatles was a Neil Adams issue, but we'll get to that. No, like the 164, he started fighting gangsters again. He started fighting people that were a little bit more grounded.
Well, it was a documentary a few years back, narrated by Ryan Reynolds when they thought the Green Lantern movie was going to take off.
Oh, I've seen this one.
Yes, they actually go back and talk about how in the 40s they didn't want to get involved with the fact that the World War II was going on and a lot of fathers were leaving to go fight in a war where they may not return. So they didn't want to bring up, like, why isn't Batman just going over there and saving us? Like, why isn't Batman and Superman? So I think they turned to something completely different, just not to get involved, to have to explain that to children, what could happen, why these things aren't like the way they are, protecting like the children's minds from something, giving them like an escapist kind of feel. And I think that stuck around for a while, and it was hard for Batman to shake.
Interesting.
I knew that they. I don't know if it was it was a retcon or not, or if it was something they were doing at the time. But the Spear of Destiny, I think, was in Europe, and the heroes couldn't go.
He's got the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah, the Spear of Destiny was in Europe, and the superheroes couldn't wind up going there. Like otherwise, they I think lose their powers or something, and they wouldn't be powered, and then they'd just be like everyone else. So it was.
So Batman would still be Batman.
Well, I mean, you think
I
think he'd be in the military,
exactly. At this
top
point.
strategic mind, making battle plans, but apparently not.
They touched on that in what was the Darwin Cookbook?
New Frontier.
New Frontier, yeah.
So good.
Fantastic.
I think that was your answer to how World War II would have been.
Well, that is very
we
true.
had superheroes.
That is very true. That is very true.
So would you guys say like the darkest thing that kind of happened was like what really brought him into the dark was kind of like that Killing Joke book? Was that like kind of the
I would say
no holds barred?
Dark Knight Returns. Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns.
I would say
Was that before the Killing Joke? The
I
Dark
believe
Knight.
so.
Yeah, but I would say he was already edging that way. But that one, it's like once that happened, like, all right, let's go for it. Like I think DC realized Marvel's beating us with these darker characters. You know, it's time for us, step up. Get a real gritty story in there somewhere, and just.
But that kind of, I felt that took it to like a pretty major extreme.
Oh yeah,
the Killing Joke.
I think it
Like,
definitely
did that shock people at the time?
I have to say, so the unedited version was ridiculous. What they were really going
I've
for.
heard,
I'm not that old. Toy Story.
That's why I was looking at him.
I am also not that old, and contrary to popular belief from TC, I was not born in the 60s.
but then how'd you go to high school in the 70s?
I'm not even going to answer that one.
It's okay, Dad.
Wow. Hurtful. I am not coming back to the sequel to this episode.
Oh, it's okay. We're not having another Batman episode. So
I think
detective. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was answering your question. I think Dark Knight Returns. I think stealing Miller from Marvel for Dark Knight Returns in the 86 or so. I think that sounds right.
86.
Yeah, that was a huge coup for DC, and I think it totally changed the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely feel like that's kind of why that Batman '89 movie came out, and like the explosion of Batman was big.
I mean, so much of the imagery from that wound up in the Zack Snyder, like Batman versus Superman, like so much of it.
Yeah. I wish it was. I
wish it worked.
Compiled a little bit better, but
Well,
I don't want to get into that. We've had too many episodes where we've been tearing down.
I think we'll bring up movies a little later, but
so
go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, we could do that.
So officially, Detective Comics 1000 is released on March 27th of this month. It's this month, 2019. 50 covers so far to my count. And
There are
that
like
was,
6
and
good
that
ones,
was out
right?
of Friday. There was a couple more than that.
I know the recent ones that were released are pretty good.
I think one that we just specifically picked up, the Alex Ross, like the kind of homage to Detective 27, basically
gorgeous.
broke their website.
Yeah.
The three of us were like,
We picked up
trying
5 between the three of us.
Yeah.
and those were the 9/8 signature series signed by him.
They're so nice.
And
Thanks
it
for the
was-
invite.
The information is on the interwebs.
Not good with reading, remember?
Hey, you got to get better.
He can't find his reading glasses.
So it's just much like the better 1000 comic Action. We're just going crazy with these variants. I mean,
I think Action actually, and this is coming from a Batman fan, and I realize this is going to sound terrible.
I'm glad you're saying this because I know what you're going to say, and I agree 100%. But as a Superman fan, people wouldn't take me seriously when I say
Action
it.
had such great covers that like understood that it was a monumental, huge issue, and I feel like a lot of the Detective Comics are like artists mailing it in.
Yeah.
Like not doing such hot work.
I mean, how many of them don't even have Batman on the book?
A lot of them, yeah.
I feel like since they already hit 1,000 with one book, this is like, this is our runner-up. Let's see how this goes.
There's a minimum of 3 books that were definitely supposed to be
throwbacks.
Batman 50, like the wedding ones. that are just
really?
regurgitated, where it's him and Catwoman standing in like a sexy pose. I was like,
I believe it.
There's a wedding
this is
issue.
ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely.
100% believe
A
it.
lot of Harley covers.
Yeah,
Nothing to do with
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Which she sells books.
Yeah, they'll all go, probably.
I mean, I bought I bought the Harley. The girl one, I did buy them. I'm not gonna lie.
I believe all of them on reserve already, but
all 50.
It's what am I going to do? I got nothing else to spend money on.
Some of those are store specific.
Yeah,
I sent the one that I really enjoyed that I felt like, other than the Alex Ross, that definitely captures the spirit of the issue, is the one that Dan Jurgens did, where he kind of had like all the different Batmans.
Yes.
Like, that was great. Like that's what I want to see out of a Detective 1000 cover.
There's I think, I don't remember which store has it, but there's a Pat Gleason cover. And Pat Gleason's, I think, pretty closely tied to Batman at this point, between Batman and Robin from New 52. His cover has like all the essentially the Bat Boys, if you will. So it's like Batman and Nightwing and Red Hood and Robin and like Tim Drake Robin as well. I guess it's Red Robin. I don't know which one they went with, but it's a pretty sweet cover. Yeah, the Bruce Timm one for the 1940s variant's really nice.
I do like the
Bernie Wright's in too. I gotta give Bernie Wright.
I don't love the coloring on it.
I like it. I think the red background.
Yeah, even Jim. Did you get the Don McTeague one?
I did not.
I like that one too, but it's the
Greg
three girls.
It's the three girls.
Poison Ivy.
It's a beautiful cover. It's a beautiful, but it's just it doesn't.
I mean, I got it.
Jock, I love Jock's art too, but
I do like the Jock one.
I missed out on the one that
better.
I've
seen better from him.
Scorpion Comics came out with a black blank cover. I don't know if you guys saw this.
No, I didn't.
But there's 1,000 issues and it's sold out quick.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it was just a black cover.
That's a great one to sketch on.
And it would have been a great book to get a sketch on, because it wasn't your traditional white.
Absolutely.
But it's not even on their websites anymore because it's sold out. I was with TC on the train trying to show it to him, and you couldn't even find it, anymore.
We're on this topic,
missed out.
Like crazy variants and stuff. I think it's I'm gonna ask Zach, throw it out here. What was the issue that you remember most fondly? Like that was the one. Like this is my Batman. So I think it's important to get to. Like I have one. I don't know if you have one where it's like, all right, this is my character. This is like his shining moment.
Oh, that like reaffirmed that.
That reaffirmed it. It's like it doesn't have to be your first one.
Oh man,
interesting.
I feel like I have three. I mean,
on Batman, not Superman.
Long Halloween.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that one.
That probably wasn't. I think I read Court of Owls stuff first, and then I remember specifically you recommending Long Halloween and Dark Victory, and those are definitely the two best Batman stories I've ever read. And I mean, I haven't read as much as you. Those are probably the older ones that I've read. I've read Dark Knight Returns. I do like it. I don't know. I don't love it. I like it. I don't love it. But I understand why a lot of people did at the time.
I did not like it the first time I read it.
Really?
I love it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even read it. Didn't know about it until tonight, so I'm going to have to check it out.
Really?
Never heard of The Dark Knight Returns?
Oh, no, not the I'm sorry.
The Long Halloween.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Long Halloween.
Dude, Long Halloween's my favorite.
Dark Victory.
Tattooed on my shoulder. I was a little upset by that.
So, Long Halloween and its follow-up, Dark Victory, the art is a little bit to get used to.
You got to be into that style.
You got to be into that style, but like Jeff,
It's so
there are certain pairings in comics that are just like iconic.
Yeah.
Lee and Kirby are like absolutely like the ultimate comic pairing. But like Loeb and Tim Sale, like those guys, everything they put out easily top 5. Mm-hmm. Brubaker and Phillips, easily top 5. Man, I love everything they do.
Yeah, Claremont and Byrne.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of them
Absolutely. There are certain guys that they hit a certain thing. They're on the same wavelength. The work they put out is just absolutely incredible. Batman. Speaking of Batman, guys like
some of your favorite creative teams. If you guys.
Oh man, Marshall Rogers and Steve Englehart. Writing and Marshall Rogers on art. Like they only had maybe 10 issues together in the 70s. These guys were the guys who were responsible for like Joker and the Laughing Fish, the reintroduction of Deadshot as you know him, the way he looks. Deadshot was a character that was like a guy in a top hat with 2 guns back in like the 40s. And like Detective 471, like he pops back up and he's got like a superhero like kind of costume. He's got that silver mask with the scope in the eye, like as you would know him, not as you would know him from Suicide Squad the movie.
Honestly, I'll only say one thing about that is I think he's probably the only good thing about that movie.
What's that?
I think he was the only good thing about that movie.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Still haven't seen it. Will not cave on that one.
He's not coming back for the sequel.
I heard that
He's
too.
not. Anyway, but like those guys were responsible for so many like big changes and cool things that actually they wound up adopting for things like Dark Knight movie. Him living in the city in the penthouse, and he's got that cave basically underneath the building there. Awesome stuff, and they made such a huge impact, and a lot of people wound up continuing with their storylines and continuing with what they were doing at the time from there on out. But that's Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers. Chuck Dixon is unbelievable on the Bat titles. You can't not read Chuck Dixon when it comes to Batman, and like all of the Batman related titles: Robin, Birds of Prey,
was fantastic.
Nightwing. Oh man,
He was great.
He's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Or mid-90s, right?
Mid-90s, early 90s, man. He was one of the guys writing Batman. I want to say shortly after Nightfall, after the Batman movie, probably after Batman Returns in '92. He was a huge force in Batman all the way up through. I want to say No Man's Land.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Right around there.
Yeah, because I think it was after No Man's Land they really switched things up in the Bat offices.
Yep.
The Bat offices.
The Bat offices.
I like that.
The guys who were in charge of Batman.
That was a fantastic answer.
Yeah, that was great.
Answer.
I think it was, for me, reading what I read on my own, but it was actually Zach, it was Joe Kelly's run. No. Who was writing the early run in the 2000s of...
Joe Kelly was on Superman at the time.
No, Justice League.
Oh, Grant Morrison?
It was Grant Morrison?
Grant Morrison was followed up by Mark Waid, who was followed up by Joe Kelly.
Yes. It was. I forgot who was writing it at the time, but it was the...
Jim's making
It's just you're pulling. It's amazing to hear you talk because
this is why I'm terrified of trivia with him.
I don't think we could have gotten a better person for tonight for this show.
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think we could have. I think
you're really taking me in this.
I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked sitting here.
We could have sat Scott Snyder down, and I don't think he could have answered these.
Absolutely, agree.
I think you'd be surprised. I feel like
Jim's
sometimes
currently
I'm looked at like I'm
Halloween.
Rain Man. definitely Detective Comics 462.
So I'm now downloading the.
He's buying all of Long Halloween right now.
I'm doing that now. What was the other one after
Dark
Dark
Victory.
Victory.
And if you want to see their other collaborations, it's Haunted Night. They were Batman Legends of the Dark Knight specials for Halloween.
They also
was awesome.
They also did the color series.
Who did year one? Was that them too?
That was Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli.
Also
Mazzucchelli. I don't know. I actually
that
had a
was good. It
professor.
wasn't as good as
phenomenal.
that.
I had a professor at St. John's who went to school with Dave.
Animated movie, not worth watching. Which one? Dark Knight Returns animated movie is a must-see.
Yes.
Dark Knight Returns animated movie is one of their finest adaptations.
With Under the Red Hood.
Under the Red
It's a
Hood
close
blows them all away.
Oh, that was a good one. I like that.
So
one.
since you guys went there on your own, one of the things we wanted to talk about was kind of television and movies. Like I know we've touched upon it.
And video games?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I don't think there's been a better superhero video game than Batman: Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, Arkham City. Was it Arkham City?
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, then Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Origins was the only one I didn't play.
I haven't played Knight because I don't have a 360.
Those two games I've played through like 3 times each.
There was a really awful
I
follow-up
spent so much
from the
time
animated
playing
series,
the
though.
Arkham
Rise of Like
Asylum game.
Shinsu.
It's
owned
the
that,
only
of
game
course.
I have 100% locked out, unlocked everything.
You haven't 100% Spider-Man?
Here's one for Jim. Are we
I
not
have a
taking
kid
into
now,
account the
Matt.
Aquaman video game?
There is
for
no
Xbox?
There is no.
Yes, there is.
Oh, there is.
There absolutely is.
There is one. Yes.
So we're also not counting the Superman 64 video game then as well.
Shadow of Apocalypse.
Oh God.
You want
I
to know
forgot
the
about
best
that
Superman video game? It was the one for the arcade and the one you could play.
When you just fly up and down.
Yes, it was amazing. That game was amazing.
I agree with that.
I think
like the,
Shazam was like the second character that you could play with randomly. What? I'm not sure if I'm right, but there was
Just
2
people that could
characters you could play with.
shoot bolts and stuff. But the X-Men game, the arcade game, was pretty phenomenal.
That game was
that
awesome.
I feel
Turtles
like that was
in
a
Time,
straight
there's-
follow up to
yeah.
like the Ninja Turtles. And
Yeah.
like, I was like, the Ninja Turtles arcade game, probably the best arcade game I've played in my life.
Yeah, love that one. Beat 'em up's great.
We totally
All
got
right,
derailed.
back on
Yes,
track.
Tom.
Back
All
on
right,
track.
back to Batman.
We got a lot of stuff to get through tonight, guys.
I mean, the movies.
If you had to pick one movie, it's got to be 89 for you, I know.
I mean, I don't know. It's a toss-up between Batman Returns, just because, again, I was like at the age of seeing it in the movie theater. Like, Batman was just like out there, but Batman Returns was just so dark, and like Michelle Pfeiffer, like I think a Catwoman, I'm always going to do either Jim Lee's Catwoman or Adam Hughes, because, again, love his art.
Absolutely.
Or it's like Michelle Pfeiffer is like, that's... And it was just so dark, and it was, like, gritty. Penguin was terrifying as a child. Like, guy bit another guy's nose off.
It was a big move from the Burgess Meredith version
Exactly.
in the 66 series.
So it was a big deal, and like all the tie-ins were there for me, the toys, everything. So I think Returns was huge. Mask of the Phantasm, again, is right up there just because the storytelling's phenomenal. The artwork in the movie, great. With video games, I have to say Arkham City was just huge on a grand scale, and it was phenomenal. But like they didn't take that chance on Arkham Asylum. I don't know. I think the character was like reached a whole new pinnacle, like to a new generation. When you never get to play as Batman before, where it's like use your detective skills.
Yeah,
the voice acting in those games,
phenomenal.
Because
my god,
they have Conroy and Hamill.
Yeah,
exactly.
Who, like Hamill, if not for Jack Nicholson, Hamill might be the best Joker.
When I read Joker, he is the best Joker.
He is the
I do
Joker.
love Jack Nicholson.
When I read Batman,
We're not forgetting Heath Ledger, by the way. We're not forgetting him.
I think he did
phenomenal too.
Was that?
Heath Ledger's fantastic.
Different-
Hamill's the voice I hear.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
I hear him in my head when I read.
Because you're that you're the prime age for the Hamill.
Absolutely perfectly the right age for that.
Come on, who doesn't read a comic book now that grew up in like the early 90s where it's, here's Bruce Wayne's voice, here's Kevin Conroy as doing Batman.
Yeah.
You can get the change now.
The both of them I hear when I read.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first guy to do that. So Conroy was the first guy to do distinctive voices for Bruce Wayne versus Batman. Like, he had a voice that he used for Batman, which I think sounds a lot more genuine than if you watch that show and you listen to him as Bruce Wayne. It's always fake. It's amazing the way he does that, and it's amazing.
He like makes
the way
it sound a little like he's disguised. Like
yes, he sounds
like his real self is the disguise.
Yes,
almost.
Bruce Wayne isn't the real person. He's the mask in that show.
It's so funny you brought that up. That's such a deep thing to bring up. But I feel like Batman is Batman while he's hiding as Bruce Wayne, when in fact he's really Bruce Wayne. And it's the exact opposite when it comes to Superman. Like, Superman is Clark Kent. Like, he's Superman. Like, he can't stop being Superman, but he wants to be Clark Kent.
So what you're saying is, are you agreeing with the Kill Bill?
Oh, absolutely. I brought that up in the episode. I was like, if anyone wants a good explanation on comics, and if you're not going to watch anything else on Kill Bill, watch this last 10 minutes of Volume 2.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I feel like that's actually something that Batman and Superman could really relate on, is the fact that they're both their outward personas, their costumed personas are their real personas. I know that Bill says the opposite for Batman, but I have to disagree. I think there's a great episode of Batman Beyond where someone's talking to Bruce Wayne, has like things hidden around the house, and they're like trying to drive him a little bit crazy, and they keep calling him Bruce, keep calling him Bruce, keep calling him Bruce. At the very end of the episode, Terry asks him, how did you know it was fake? And he's like, he kept calling me Bruce. That's not what I call myself. Yeah. Like the Bruce Wayne is gone. Bruce Wayne died with his parents. All that lives is Batman.
Even in Mask of the Phantasm, go to it. His real voice when he's crying out to his parents sounds more like Batman than he ever sounded as Bruce Wayne.
That is a fantastic observation.
He calls out like his emotion in his voice and goes right back to being Batman instead of just being like, "Hey, yeah." It's like he has to act, because even like the Batman Begins, he's like Bruce Wayne cannot sit there and be he can't hide. He's got to be a playboy. He's got to be out there. He doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to turn this off. He's got to learn to turn it off, but then has no problem flipping right back.
Yep.
Even in The Dark Knight, look at him when the Joker shows up and all the gangs, goes right back to dismantling the whole shotgun, goes down the whole hallway. Nothing, not a problem. But you can tell he doesn't know how to talk to that group of people and be Bruce Wayne in front of them.
Yes.
Wow.
Jim, that sums it up perfectly, because I was just going to say...
My head exploded.
I honestly feel bad for the fact that we didn't record this as like a video episode,
right?
Because I feel like people are missing out not seeing the excitement on these two faces,
absolutely,
when they're talking about Batman. Like, I just want everyone to keep that in mind. These guys could not be happier when they're discussing this character. But we got a little bit off the rails, so we're gonna have Zach talk about his television movie interpretation. I noticed nobody kind of mentioned Gotham at this point, the TV show. I know it's not
Gotham.
I know from you guys, you're not very interested in it. I have mixed feelings.
I tried to watch it. I couldn't. I didn't like it.
See, I like it. It's grown on me. Like, it was great in the beginning. It kind of slacked off. It's gotten better. But like I brought up in the last show we did, like, my favorite character is Bullock. Like,
yes.
No doubt.
he makes the show.
Phenomenal
I think
actor.
without him, I think it'd be a dead show.
I think it would have got canceled after the first season.
I'm serious. I mean,
far,
he brings it together.
Bullock is a fantastic underrated character in the comic books, and I was so happy when I heard that they were doing this series. I was really unbelievably happy when I heard that they got Donald Logue.
We were both hoping for a Gotham PD.
Like a Gotham Central?
Gotham Central, basically interpretation of the book, which
be
if you guys
fantastic.
haven't read, well worth the read on the detectives who have to work under Batman.
Like mid-2000s, Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka were tag team in the series. Michael Lark, I think, was doing most of the art, and I want to say there was another artist, and I'm blanking on who it was.
Yeah, that's the only thing he's blanked on so far.
Yeah.
40 issues. It leads right up to Countdown, like Infinite Crisis. It's all about the detectives in Gotham. Batman is like a character that shows up for like 2 panels, and all the police officers absolutely just hate the guy. You know, he mucks up their investigations. He screws stuff up. That would have been an awesome series, and I think that was probably why I didn't love Gotham as a TV series when it came out. I was also really busy. I was switching jobs, so I didn't give it a really good chance. It just seemed a little too campy. Which is funny because my introduction to Batman
Was the campiest.
One of the earliest things I used to watch was my grandmother used to record the 66 TV series for me so I could watch it.
On VHS.
On VHS. Yes, kids. VHS.
Not Laserdisc?
Does anyone still have
Was the
Laserdisc?
VHS set to 12 o'clock?
All the time?
All the time.
All the time. The 66 TV series was something I used to watch when I was a kid and loved. I mean, I'm also at the age where, like, Batman and Robin came out, like, 95? So I was young enough that I didn't realize that how
that movie didn't come out.
Well, you're not going to like my answer on Batman and Robin, then.
Oh, no.
No, I loved all those Batman movies when I was a kid. My dad showed me the 89 Batman series. Not the series, the movie. My dad showed me the 92 Batman Returns. I saw Batman Forever in the theaters. It was awesome. In my estimation, I didn't realize that Tommy Lee Jones was actually a good actor until much later on in life. And then, like, Batman and Robin came out. I remember going to see that movie with a friend of mine and my friend's mom, and never realizing how utterly atrocious it was until years later. I have a little challenge that I do with myself where I put it on whenever it's on TV, and I try and watch it past that first scene, and as soon as he, like, kind of clicks his heels and the ice skates come out, it's just like, oh no, I can't do this.
I feel like the most accurate portrayal of Bane so far, though.
No. Dark Knight Rises kind of nails it. He nails his personality.
If I wear a mask over my mouth,
Okay, so the voice
I'm in
acting
pain without it. You can try. How do I eat enough protein to sustain a muscle mass this size? None of this computes.
Also, where does the voice come from? I understand where he's pulling it from, but, like, where does that fit into the where's the prison? None of it made sense. None of it made sense.
We can all agree that Joker is supposed to be back in this movie, and they went with anything they could find when they couldn't use him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I will give my friend Darryl Lewis credit on this one. This sequel was supposed to have a wonderful Brittany Murphy as a Harley Quinn. Would have been the perfect follow-up with him, and it would have been beautiful. And he was dead.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
He said he called it from the first time he saw Heath Ledger as a Joker, and I have to agree that would have been great. And both of them sadly went before their times. And yeah, but I think it would have been a fantastic movie if they had a full storyline to work with.
I skipped the best 2 Batman movies. Batman Begins is fantastic. It has the best Gotham.
Absolutely.
Gotham looks fantastic. I know that a lot of it was pulled from, like, what Blade Runner did in the 80s, but, like, oh my God.
The smoke and, like, the smog. Oh my God.
The double layers of society where there's people living above ground and there's people living below ground, the mob running rampant below ground. Fantastic take on it. Fantastic take on the character. Fantastic take on everything that's going on in the city. It feels like Gotham.
Well, using, I think it was new. I think especially for Dark Knight Rises, they used Chicago and New York interspliced, because that's 2 urban cities that would fit perfectly. You know, Metropolis was always like that bright, shiny star where it's like you could put it in like California, you could put it in New York and be like, oh, this is great. But Gotham always had to have that gritty edge to it. So I think combining two cities that do have a kind of like,
That's a good point.
you know, a beautiful nostalgic history to them and also a violent side, I think worked great. Those are two perfect cities to use.
So
I don't believe it was New Jersey at all, Gotham. I do not stand by that.
I would say that Bloodhaven is probably almost definitely.
That's Newark.
Yeah.
That's definitely Newark.
all right. So
Sorry, anybody in Newark.
So your favorite live action Batman? Go. Batman portrayal.
Costume is going to be
Actor.
Actor. Ooh.
And costume if you'd like.
favorite actor. Kevin Conroy. Favorite live action actor. It's got to be Bale. Sorry, I know you're going to say Keaton. That's all right.
It's okay. You can be wrong. It's
Oh,
fine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Favorite costume? Ben Affleck, Batman. I said it. I said it.
I like the costume except for the bulky neck where we instantly went back to him not being able to turn his head for some reason. I don't know why we made progress on this.
I don't like the huge bat.
I don't
I'm just
like
gonna
the
say,
huge bat
I don't like
either.
the huge bat.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
either.
just don't
currently
like
wearing the Jim Lee. Like,
I know it's
logo.
part of
I like
Dark
that
Knight
much better.
Returns. I don't like it.
He's got the gray costume.
Do you mean the
he
logo?
skulks around and he's really fast. That scene where he's up hidden in the corner behind.
I didn't like that one because he crawled weird on the ceiling and it took me out of that scene.
So good. I felt like he was in the ring or something.
Yeah. I will give Batman vs. Superman the best Batman fight scene in film. That warehouse fight scene nailed Batman's approach.
That was the only good part about
that was
movie,
good.
I'll be honest with
taking
you.
down everybody in one shot.
I know you said this before, Batman Mask of the Phantasm has the best origin story.
Yes.
I love how they showed the Waynes at the beginning of the movie. It was beautifully shot. No pun intended. No pun intended.
They were beautifully shot.
They were beautifully shot. No dialogue, no nothing. They did it. It was done.
Yes.
And I got to say that Batman Begins, I love Linus Roach as Thomas Wayne. I love that they actually gave him lines. He had a little bit of character, and you could understand a little bit of where Bruce comes from.
I feel like that movie's always so
We
like
fall, so we get back up.
unfairly
It's great.
shadowed by Dark Knight.
Dark Knight overshadows it all the time. I think it was fantastic, and you couldn't have Dark Knight without Batman Begins laying so much of the groundwork. It was such a good movie. It's so underrated at times. The fight scenes are rough in it because Nolan is a great visual thinker, but he's terrible when it comes to action.
I think it was more of a methodical movie too. It was building a universe instead of going in and like giving you a Batman. It gave you the origin of Batman, where he would go, and why he is the way he is. But didn't really show us Batman being Batman too much. Like, kind of left that like to the last half.
A little bit.
He didn't do so much detective work because within 5 minutes you figured out who it was once he becomes Batman. So, but I always liked that detective work storyline to it.
Yeah.
Like I liked in Batman vs. Superman when he's sitting there trying to figure out what's going on and like who he is. Even like not so much detective work in Batman or Batman Returns, but again, I like that aspect.
Because Batman is a detective at heart.
Yeah, he's the world's greatest.
And those are the
detective.
best stories, honestly, when he's trying to figure something out. And I think that's why like Hush and Long Halloween are such really good stories.
What was
Where you're like trying to figure it out with him.
All right, but before we go any further, Tom Pollari,
Favorite live action Batman.
favorite live action Batman.
Michael Keaton?
Favorite costume.
Favorite costume? I would have
Is this
to say
movies only?
Yes.
Batman Begins was my favorite costume.
Nice.
Favorite Bruce Wayne, not Batman.
Bruce Wayne.
Mine is Ben Affleck. I'll say it.
I enjoy him.
I thought he was much better as Bruce Wayne than
Yeah.
I'll agree with you as that.
I think Michael Keaton was excellent Batman. Ben Affleck was a fantastic, just because he
Bruce
has that
Wayne,
Playboy, lifestyle. So
Yeah.
he works as Bruce Wayne. I also enjoyed George Clooney's Bruce Wayne. As much as I hate that movie,
honestly,
he was
him
a
and
good
Val
Bruce Wayne.
Kilmer actually had a pretty cool.
Val Kilmer gets a bad rap,
yeah,
but he did a
Bruce
decent,
Wayne.
he did a pretty decent job. as
I'm
Batman.
gonna go out on a limb and say I think Val Kilmer was my favorite Bruce Wayne.
I think that's
Interesting.
Interesting. Interesting.
I agree
Because
with
again,
that.
you could see that he had stuff hidden behind his eyes that he wasn't, he could show up to the events, the major galas, but there was something deeper.
Interesting.
Favorite Bat tool.
Favorite Bat tool?
Bat gadget. Anything, movies, comics, TV shows.
I mean, Old Faithful is like the Batarang.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't.
that's
not say the
awesome.
Batarang.
But I do love the Bat Shark Repellent.
Yeah. Did you guys know that there's Bat female villain repellent?
1960s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Was
makes
that
sense.
was that in the Poison Ivy issue?
I don't remember. I think it was.
I would not
I gotta
doubt
look
it.
it up. Yeah.
I thought that would just be opening up the suit to the horrible smells
it's-
underneath of it just being latex for hours.
It's not like mentioned in a blurb, but he throws the can and it says Bat female villain repellent.
That's
on it.
phenomenal.
It's hysterical.
You know,
That's
it'd be
probably
hilarious.
a team-up issue.
in reality, if there was a Batman and he did see the signal go up, he probably would never catch anyone because it probably takes him an hour and a half to get in that suit.
Well, I think he's got it developed to like Iron Man, like when he would just walk through and everything just goes on now at this point.
You mean he doesn't just slide down the bat pole and he just puts the costume on? Because as a kid, that's just made sense.
Like I figured he had this thing ready to go. Like under most suits he had out, it was just like the Batman suit. Again, I have to get close to this mic. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm
no one
trying
will hear
not to
anything
get
you say
cheek
when we
with
release this
Zach.
episode. It's
That's okay.
Please, children, get closer.
I would have to go. I think it was the Jim Lee run where he shot the
ears off?
The ears off and used that as a defense. I don't know how long he was sitting there waiting to shoot his ears off. He's like, but this is my go-to.
How do you fire that? And if you don't use it that often, how do you know which button it is to fire it?
It was like in The Dark Knight when he shoots the off the gloves.
Well, that's awesome. That's so
Those are awesome. But again, like, have you practiced aiming those things? Like, do you know the trajectory down pat to like where these things
I think it's just
go?
it's a close quarters. You're in a corner.
Yeah.
You know.
The grappling gun, though, I think is always going to.
That's my favorite. That's really cool.
Because again, it used to be just a batarang with a string, but the grappling gun, like especially in the animated series, just like pointing it up and that image.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome
City.
if like it was like after we go out, it'd be like, all right, guys, I'm out of here. And just like,
or even you would have to throw his cape in there, like when it does that static, like kind of like flatten, and so you can actually glide with it.
That was such a cool.
It's such an awesome
on
image.
Cape in Batman Begins, where he's able to like give it a charge and make it stand up.
And I feel like I really like. I mean, I'm a huge Morgan Freeman fan. Like his
Lucius Fox
as Lucius Fox. Like I don't think they could have gotten a more perfect.
No, now
person
you only
than
hear
Lucius
him is
Fox.
when you see Lucius Fox.
Have you guys ever seen the meme where like somebody says something? They send you this meme and it has Morgan Freeman's face, and it doesn't matter what it says, but at the bottom it says you just read that in my voice. Didn't you? I was like,
you can't not.
Yes,
You
I
just
did.
got that voice.
I mean, going back to those movies, they gave us Michael Caine as Alfred.
Yeah, you can't top that.
I imagine him.
Was that Michael Gouge? Is that how you say it?
Michael Goff?
Is that it?
I mean, he's always going to be my Alfred.
He was an excellent Alfred, like 4 movies. Until he changed Batman, they couldn't change Alfred because he was so.
True.
I'll be honest with you, though, my favorite got to be the current Alfred.
Oh, Jeremy Irons.
I love Jeremy Irons.
Fantastic.
He seems like
snarkiness.
the perfect person to actually be
take.
like someone who can actually like take charge. And like, because Alfred's supposed to be a little bit of a kind of a tough guy in his own means. I can't see Michael Caine or that other guys doing
he's
that.
talking about the guy stealing the diamonds.
Yeah.
You can see like there was some kind of military background.
But I feel like
I love his snark.
Jeremy Irons
like,
can get stuff done too.
He's
you
so
think of the
snarky.
bad guy from Die Hard 3. So.
Batman's like, what's going on? And he's like,
one of my all-time favorite movies. He won Best Actor. I can't even remember the name of the movie.
won Best
right
Actor?
now. Yes, for a movie in like 1990.
right, we gotta
he
check
won an
that.
Oscar.
We'll give away a prize if you can name this.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll find it out later. One of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
One
Glenn
of Tom
Close is like his
Pollari's
wife.
statues to whoever can name that.
That'd be Zach Davino statues. They're worth way more than mine.
What?
So something I just learned recently because doing a little research on the costumes, and I brought it up before we started talking. But the original Bat Belt was the pockets on the Batman 66 were actually kitchen sponges. Not sure if you guys knew that.
I never knew that.
I did not know that.
So
I learned something today.
and they call it so. They call it the absorbent pouches, and they were later replaced with wood blocks, sometimes covered in leather, and then they were painted with yellow latex paint.
That's fantastic.
And the tubes were wooden dowels. The reason why this came up is because I guess some people were watching this, but now that we all have these high definition TVs, you can tell
better.
now. So back then nobody saw that stuff, but now it's starting to come out. Like when you're watching these shows and the high def TVs, you're starting to see all these inconsistencies. So sponges, kitchen sponges, Batman belt.
Interesting.
I feel like this is the first unofficial Batman SpongeBob crossover.
He was just his belt the whole time. I was reading a book not too long ago with, just on Batman stuff. There's like, actually it was a long
Like a
time ago. It was
book?
back when I was in college. What?
Like a book?
A book?
Or one with
With
pictures, like
just mostly words. It was boring. Hard to get through.
There are books without pictures in them.
Now there are.
What?
It's come a long way, technology.
But they were describing how Batman, his logo, since it has the yellow outline, was to get the criminals to look at him and take a shot at his chest where he has armor and not try and shoot at his face. I could completely agree with that. It's a brilliant idea, but this was definitely an afterthought of just the color yellow helping the black symbol pop out a little bit more in real comics.
And
it totally works.
To allow
it does work.
DC to copyright that specific Batman
logo
symbol.
Yeah. If we're going to go to gadgets, I just have to give credit to Batman, the 89 Batman with the Batwing. The greatest scene ever of flying up in front of the moon, giving us the bat symbol.
Where does he get all those toys?
It's just like that image every time I see it. I'm like,
Wonderful toys.
Wonderful toys.
And that's one of the things we're bringing up is the Bat vehicles, right? So, Bat vehicles.
My favorite. I can't. I feel like all my answers are going to be the same. It's definitely that 89 Batman Batmobile.
It really is the perfect. It's just so sleek and fantastic.
1966 Batmobile.
Oh,
really?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I like
Red
it.
stripes, the turbine in the back, the giant parachute that comes out the back. How could you not love that?
It's hard not to.
66, it was great. It's just an awesome car. I love cars. It's so awesome, the gadgets and everything in it. But it's the most anti-Batman car. Driving around in the daylight with
really is.
No armor over the front.
No armor. It's like he's just going to get clearly shot. They just need to be able to see Batman in it.
I think the Batman 66 also brought out a lot more vehicles than the other movies.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
you
had the boats.
Yep.
You had the
motorcycle.
The motorcycle. Mm-hmm. The helicopter. The car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's probably a few more that I
think it helped expand that, and gave some
even
credibility.
Batgirl, I think, had her own motorcycle, right?
She had her own motorcycle.
And what a motorcycle.
And didn't the Penguin have a motor? Wasn't there a Penguin mobile? From what I remember,
was that in the Returns where the duck?
Returns, he's got the giant
duck.
It can't top the Chevy sedans of the Joker mobiles in '89 when they just painted them
and the van.
And the van. But every movie had a pretty decent Batmobile. They got crazy by Batman and Robin. I didn't like that one.
They're all very unique. Which is
the
nice.
Tumbler.
They never did the same thing twice.
Tumbler made sense.
Tumbler was really cool, and then they got the Bat Pod out of that one.
Yeah,
that was great. I like the one in Batman vs Superman and Justice League.
I did like
that one. Is nice too.
That was nice. Besides when it was murking people left and right.
It's like, so Batman doesn't kill. Is that a thing? No. Those were rubber bullets.
For the first 2 minutes of that, I'm like, you know what? I could kind of go with he hasn't killed anybody yet, and then he shot everybody, and I'm like, well, now they're dead.
Do you have a favorite there? Toy Story? You're the toy guy, right?
I am the toy guy. I'll go 89. I'll go with you.
It's
just the style is so cool.
Yeah, I was trying to convince my dad, I think in 1992, to buy one. I remember they used to flash it on TV for $90,000. I was like, Dad, do you have this money?
I remember vividly, one of those car auctions on TV, 2003, one went up for sale or something around that time frame. And I'm like, well, really, how much do I need a house or food for the next few years? Because I could live in this and it would be fantastic.
I went to LA a few weeks ago and we went to the Warner Brothers studio tour.
Nice.
So they had all the Batmobiles there.
Oh,
that were
don't tell me that.
So they had the 1989 Batmobile there. And I remember just looking at it and oh my God, that is such a cool car.
Did they have the armored version of it too?
No, they did not.
The one that drops the bombs out of the wheels.
car.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool look. I thought that was a
very
cool thing to do.
The weirdly phallic mini Bat mobile when he blew off its sides in Batman Returns. And it just turned into I don't think we really need to discuss what it looked like, but when it shot through that wall, I'm like, wow, that's a bit suggestive last time I watched it. But that was phenomenal. Yeah.
I do want to add my 2 cents on the costumes, though. My all-time favorite costume, love. It's not from a movie. It's the gray, the blue costume with the yellow and black. I want to say it's probably Neil Adams' Batman.
So that's Neil Adams, probably Jim Aparo.
I love that.
Right.
That look was just that's my favorite Batman.
Me and Zach are getting
Zach and Tom are
really close to the mic right now.
They're currently cuddling very close.
All right, before we go off on another tangent, I feel like we at least have to talk about Bill Finger and Bob Kane here. It's on our
Who are those guys?
Points. They had something to do with Ant-Man. What was this guy's name again?
The Wasp.
Batman. Crypto.
Ace, the Bat Hound.
I think Bill Finger was the brains behind all of it, and I think just Bob Kane was a salesman you send in to get your pitch done. Mm-hmm. And I think Bob Kane got it with all the credit and just left Bill Finger hanging for years.
There's a really cool documentary that I caught on Hulu recently. It was
it's
Batman and Bill.
Yeah,
or Bill and Batman.
watch that.
It's interesting. It's stuff that I didn't necessarily even know. Like I didn't know Bill Finger wrote an episode of the Batman '66 TV series. They had like an anecdote from somebody who knew him at the time and was actually like there seeing him watching the credits come up and like his name was up there, and that was a huge deal to him. I think Bill Finger is absolutely your unsung talent. I think Bob Kane was probably absolutely, as Tom said, like the guy who knew how to pitch it, the guy who knew how to negotiate, who knew the business side of things more than the art side of things. And I think he was hugely able to benefit from it more so than Bill did. And I think when you don't put your name on stuff or you don't have your name credited to stuff, it's a lot easier for you to kind of slip through the cracks.
Well, that's an interesting point because I was reading today that DC actually got Dick Sprang to do a lot of ghost work for him.
I believe it.
Because they were anticipating him getting drafted for World War II.
Really?
Yeah, so they had him do a lot of art, like in stowaway, just in case he ever got drafted, and he eventually just became a ghost artist for him.
I'm going to go on a slight tangent right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. 4th volume of Batman the Animated Series. So this is when it made from the jump from Fox Kids to WB. There's an episode called Legends of the Dark Knight, and it's 3 stories.
A great one.
It is 3 stories. It's a bunch of kids sitting around talking about what they think Batman is like, and the first one they do is a total Dick Sprang story, and it is awesome. The second one was Frank Miller, so it was like Frank Miller fighting the mutants in the Dark Knight Returns, like 2nd or 3rd issue. It's
the girl played what's her name?
Yes, Carrie Kelly. So it's like, you get that iconic line where it's like, this isn't a mud pit, this is an operating table, and I'm the surgeon. Like it's so good. But the Dick Sprang one was so funny, and it was so goofy, and it was right around that time.
The giant instruments, right?
Yes, the giant instruments. But like,
I'm sorry. I enjoyed that episode as well. The Dick Sprang giant instruments.
Is that really his name?
Dick Sprang is absolutely his name.
Yeah.
This is a person's name, everyone.
His name is most like.
He did not make movies in the 70s.
Wow. I never thought about that.
Mr. Dad joke? You've never thought of that?
That was the man's name.
By the way, me and Zach sat next to each other in Batman vs. Superman, and when they said Martha, me and him both looked at each other and never realized they were both named Martha.
Yeah.
So we will give them credit.
I was in the same
Nobody
boat.
realized
I was like,
that.
I don't think so.
They really are both named Martha. How about?
Not enough to stop a fight, but that is a little like.
I mean, it gave him pause. I don't know why he'd refer to his mom as Martha. They're gonna kill Martha.
It's the dramatic effect.
I
of the movie.
mean, that's
it's not really his mother anyway. So
Whoa,
It is a stretch.
whoa!
Just saying.
That is
Just
his
saying.
mom. That is you. Come on, think about. He's Kryptonian. He's super strong.
All right, Tex, let's bring this one back.
How big were those poops? How heavy were those diapers?
they shot right out of the diapers.
I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
He was a teenage
Potty training
boy,
was difficult.
and he lived in their house.
Oh,
How rough was that for Ma and Pa Kent? We're getting off topic. I'm sorry.
all right. So I think it's hard to talk about Batman without talking about the end, which is Anne Robin.
Oh.
So, we know there's more than one Robin. There's kind of been more than one sidekick. Who are your guys' favorites? Who are your least favorites?
And which incarnation of that favorite? Because like Dick Grayson,
Is the best.
very different
We
in
grew up
different
with
eras.
the same Robin.
yeah, we did.
So Tim Drake was our Robin when we were reading comic books back in the day. Tim Drake was the guy. 20-something years later, looking back, he's vanilla Robin. I'm going to piss people off. I'm going to tick people off saying that. Like, he's such a great character in the fact that, like, he figured out who Batman was. He didn't really have that much adversity in his life to that point when he did it. Like, he wanted to help. And, like, that's awesome.
He's kind of almost like a Gordon character if you think about it, right?
Yeah. Like, he wanted to help. He did all these things before there was tragedy in his life. And, like, there's a bit where his parents get captured and held for ransom somewhere in the Caribbean, I want to
Don't they end up
say.
getting murdered anyway?
What's that?
Don't they end up getting murdered anyway?
The mom does.
The mom.
Hey,
But the dad
spoilers.
survives. Sorry. Spoilers on an issue that's almost 30 years old.
Captain Boomerang messed up his job.
Well, that's about 10, 15, 16
You
years.
should have read it by now, people. You should have read it by now.
Sorry. I own a page like that.
You do?
I think we gave some spoilers on Batman 89 too, guys.
Yeah, we did.
The Wonderful Toys.
But yeah, Dick Grayson, I think.
Dick Grayson is like the ultimate Robin. I think of him as Nightwing.
Yeah, no, he's always going to be Nightwing to me. Jason Todd's always going to be like just the rebel.
I think of him as Batman. I think of him as Batman.
Who do you think of as Batman? Dick Grayson. That's awesome. That's really.
I don't really. I've never actually read any of those.
He got you again.
I love the.
You have to read his sarcasm. You don't know. It's been years. You should get his sarcasm.
It's okay. Jim hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
I have not, and I would never will.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wish I could change. I can't.
Yeah, we could go through them. So Dick Grayson's like the original, the ultimate one. I mean, he was Robin on Teen Titans. He was Robin in the new Teen Titans. He was Robin up until basically the 70s, 80s.
Does anybody like Jason Todd?
There are people that like Jason Todd.
I mean, clearly there's plenty who didn't because there was a phone number that you called to see if he could
barely.
live.
That count was so close.
I heard it was 26.
That close. That count was so close.
And it wasn't keeping track of the people calling in a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And if
you could have called in a ton of times, just killed them.
If you was a 900 number.
Yeah.
So, that cost money. It wasn't an 800. It wasn't toll free. It was a 900 number.
Well, if you called from the payphone.
Who was it? Was it like Scott Snyder who talked about how he called in to kill him and then felt so bad that he like called in again to not kill him to cancel out his own vote? I think that was an interview I read.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, that count was so close. And if you've ever seen the page that they had in reserve,
I've seen it. It's like the same
awful.
exact thing.
It is terrible. I'm so glad that they just killed him.
It's the same exact thing except Batman's smiling, right?
Yes, he's looking up and he's like, he's alive. Awful. Terrible.
When was this? Because I don't remember this.
Batman: Death in the Family.
But
Walter Simonson and Jim.
Simonson wrote that?
It wasn't Simonson. Mignola did the covers on those. It wasn't Simonson. It was.
Go buy those right now, Jim.
I have them.
Yeah.
I actually have the hardcovers, but I didn't know that there was a 900. I didn't know you can call in to save.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Jim Starlin. If you bought the original issues, you could see in the second part there was a 1-900 number for the next month's issue.
Interesting.
It was awesome.
But the end page was exactly the same,
Even
so they
after
could
that-
like go up until the last second.
The
with
wrap-up
votes.
story after was terrible. Like, I think Joker becomes a diplomat.
That was issue 429. It was the fourth part in the story. He
yeah, it
winds
was
up
just like-
being like essentially he winds up actually being Iran's like diplomat to the UN. So he has diplomatic immunity.
So, yeah, no
he's the
one-
ambassador to the United States from Iran.
Do we need to check all these the issue numbers that he's throwing out here?
No,
No, we don't.
I'm
will
not
tell
writing.
you.
I'm not writing any of these
No.
down in the show notes. Everyone, just assume that that's right.
I'll let you know if they're wrong.
Yeah, he's just going to do the show notes for the next show.
I think he's just going to do the show moving forward because I'm done.
But who's going to do the Aquaman episode?
That's already been done.
It took about
It took 5
25
minutes.
seconds?
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick.
Jason Momoa.
All right, so I guess who's that? You guys already talked about Tim Drake.
We talked about Tim Drake. We haven't talked about Damian Wayne, and I think Damian Wayne works.
I liked him.
He grew
I
on
liked
me.
that
When he first
story.
came out, I hated it. Just like they were jamming
because you
him down.
weren't supposed to like him.
Yeah, but that's why I liked him.
It's
Like I very often like characters that you're not supposed to like.
his evolution.
Yes.
His evolution through the Batman and Robin series with like
Grayson
Dick Grayson was like kind of the happy-go-lucky Batman, whereas Robin was the homicidal maniac, grim and gritty version. But he's just wearing the bright colors.
So
Like it's a
80s
great-
Batman and Robin.
It's a great flip on the concept. It's a great flip on what they were doing at the time. And it's even evidenced by, spoilers for those of you who haven't read it, Joker's role in those stories. And I read a great theory online. It's not my own. I will never take credit for it. But it's almost like Joker was really dark in the 1940s when he first appeared. Right?
Yep.
He's a gangster. He's a bad guy. He's really mean. And then Robin shows up on the scene. And then, like, through the late 40s, the 50s, the 60s, he's this really goofball character. Like, that whole issue with, like, Joker's boner, which isn't, like, the non-PG version. It's like Joker's goofs.
I almost unplugged your mic when you said that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But, like, he almost lightens up when Dick Grayson is Robin. And then, Dick Grayson transitions out of being Robin. He becomes Nightwing, and there's this new Robin. And, like, Joker can notice this stuff. This isn't the same kid. He's not as happy-go-lucky. He's not as much fun to be with. I'm going to kill him. Right? So, like, the shifts that you see in Joker can almost be attributed to the fact that, like, he kind of actually really enjoys sparring with Dick Grayson, I think. Or, he likes the effect that Dick Grayson... Dick Grayson has, like, a different effect on Batman. And so in the Batman and Robin series, the Grant Morrison, Frank Whiteley, and oh man, there were so many people that did work on that. Philip Tan. I'm forgetting who did the third arc. I'm seeing the Frank Whiteley covers, and it's not him interiors. It doesn't matter. Like you wind up seeing like Joker takes on a different role, and he actually winds up helping them out. I think as a result of like I don't know if it's Grant Morrison playing on this concept or not. Oberyn Sexton.
It's the. Is that
So when does he start taking over for Batman? I got to go back and read these.
Which one?
Right before
Dick Grayson?
52.
Yeah.
So he winds up taking over for Batman
After
right
Final
after
Crisis.
Final Crisis. Yeah, he takes over.
I cried, by the way, when Batman died in Final Crisis. Spoiler.
It was a good one. The Batman R.I.P. story arc, and then followed up by Batman in Final Crisis. Dick Grayson takes over as Batman, and Damian takes over as Robin.
I like Damian in New 52. I don't like much from New 52, but Damian, again, there was a storyline. I won't give the spoilers away because this one's a little too recent. Yeah, he finally made a mark. Like, he finally made a mark on his father, I think, in that issue. It was a silent issue.
The Batman and Robin issue. I was just about to say.
Batman and Robin 18,
I
New
still
52.
remember. I still
issue.
remember
No word
that.
said, and it got an emotion across perfectly. I think that's one of my standout Batman issues as well.
Good one.
We also have to go into Stephanie Brown
Oh yeah,
and Carrie Kelly. Can't forget them. Carrie Kelly
Carrie
was
Kelly.
she held her own very well, I think, in the
Carrie Kelly was a lot of
Dark Knight
fun,
Returns.
man.
Yeah.
She was
She was
spunky.
fun.
I
Yeah.
think my
Yeah, she's
first.
spunky. It was fun.
I think my first intro to her character might have been that Legends of the Dark Knight
me too.
episode.
Yep.
So like going back and reading Dark Knight Returns, it was so much fun to be like, oh my god, I get it.
That was awesome. I think when we had that realization, that was phenomenal.
Right.
And Stephanie Brown, I think I know her more from her like Batgirl run, and then going back and realizing she was Robin too, and then I read those episodes later, I think was phenomenal. I liked her.
I still do actually. I have all of the Tim
Of
Drake
course you
Robin
do.
series, and I knew Stephanie Brown from her guest role, like her guest. She guest
Which is a
starred in
spoiler,
so much
right?
of Robin's series. Yeah.
Well, she was his love interest, so I
She
liked
was his
how
love
they.
interest, but she, you know.
I like how he also had that whole thing of like, is Batman doing this to piss me off since I quit as being Robin? He got my
Yes.
girlfriend to be Robin. Like there was that whole play on that. I thought that was brilliant, and it was a great way to.
That was all post
Then
No
he-
Man's Land.
Yes.
So No Man's Land is I wanted to talk about this. Like No Man's Land is probably the best comic book.
9/11,
No,
because it does have that whole aspect of
it totally does. No, so like
Rebuilding.
the best comic book event. This like took place over the course of an entire year in the Bat titles. So like No Man's Land was a crossover for all of the Bat titles, all of the Bat books. Catwoman would guest star in it, and she would get tied into it. Nightwing would get tied into it. Azrael would get tied into it. It was awesome.
All right. So, what are your guys' favorite Batman villains?
I mean, aside from the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
I mean,
Well, I mean, I feel like he's overused. So
Exactly.
I was literally in my notes when we were talking about this. It's like Joker, obvious one, and then like I was trying to write down other
we could take
villains.
2 years off from Joker being in comics. I think at this point,
3.
yeah, that'd be fair.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
Still
with
be
it.
fine.
I mean, they did that for a while, like back in the 70s. Like he hadn't appeared in comics for a while before.
Then he got his own storyline.
He showed up in like Batman 250.
Who was
when Neil
telling,
Adams
someone
on
was
the book.
telling us this, that Joker used to appear like once every 2 years.
And it was a big deal, yeah.
So now it's not a big deal when Joker
So,
appears.
like, even when you factor
It's
in
probably him on Wednesday.
Death in the Family.
It might have been.
Like, Death in the Family rolled around. It was issue like 4, 26, 27, 28, 29 in Batman. Like, he didn't show up again until issue 450, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you think about how many titles of Batman are usually going at a single time these days, how many miniseries are running, like, not having Joker in comics for like 2 years, it really is kind of a big deal.
I mean, it's funny you say that. At the same point, I feel like he is overused in Batman. But if he had his own book, I would totally read that every week.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, clearly.
You mean the 9-issue miniseries series from the 70s? I own that.
Yep.
I'm sure you do.
What about you?
What other villains? I think the animated series, again, keep heading back to this because I guess it is viable. Mr. Freeze was a joke up until to the animated series.
Animated series gave him an origin that worked.
I always enjoyed Scarecrow, though.
Me too. I have that on my list. Scarecrow.
The look of Scarecrow, I think, again, the series when they go to the WB, I think one of the quintessential looks of Scarecrow.
Because they finally got to
And
make the
Alex
character
Ross.
the way they wanted to
Yep.
make him. Two-Face is a really good, I think, mirror to Batman.
Yes.
How things could have broken differently for him.
Oh, absolutely.
He and Harvey were friends. He and Harvey were very similar. You have that bad day. You have something go wrong. And, Batman is a
the
man
other side of the coin, basically.
essentially, yeah. And I think it's a nice mirror to hold up to Batman every once in a while, where you can kind of see how they started in a similar place, they were both on the same side, and then how things shifted for the two of them.
I also like the turmoil in Two-Face, especially in Dark Knight Returns, where he can't unsee himself. Like, even when they fix him, he's always going to see that other, like, Batman's always going to see Batman. Two-Face will always see that now scarred evil persona, even though he's healed or rehabilitated.
Morrison's Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth.
Not a huge fan of it, but I like their concepts.
They had a really cool concept with Harvey Dent, where he couldn't wean himself off the yes or no, the either or decision making, because when they got too far, like, he was not able to use the bathroom properly. Like, that was kind of a cool little fold with that character. I mean, let's run through, like,
Man-Bat.
I mean, I've always been a big Riddler fan. I don't know what it is. I think that's probably from the 66. I love...
It depends on what you do with the character.
I forgot the name of the actor who did the 66 Riddler.
Frank Gorshin.
Yes, Frank Gorshin. I love his interpretation of the Riddler. He was just really cool.
Sean Astin's father, John Astin, was also the second Riddler in the 66 TV series.
There was more than one Riddler?
Yes, there were two Riddlers. There were three Catwomans.
I knew there was
only one Joker.
I didn't know there was
only one Joker.
I didn't know there was two Riddlers either.
So there was it was Frank Gorshin and it was John Astin. Both played Riddler.
Yeah.
I think John Astin played Riddler, I think, in the third season, but don't hold me to it. That is something you guys should check out and
So we're
fix
throwing
in the
Egghead
story.
in there with our favorite villains.
What's
Vincent
that?
Price is Egghead. I like Vincent Price, but
We were talking about
Condiment Man.
Condiment Man.
Condiment King. Condiment King has a fantastic
Wasn't it the
appearance in the
polka dot
Batman
guy?
the Animated Series.
I mean, if you anyone out there, if you have the new DC streaming service, I should also get a kickback for this. Batman Brave and the Bold.
We pitch it a lot.
Okay,
So-
see, there we
We
go.
also say a
Another one.
lot of the negative things.
We
about
watched that at
how
his house a few times.
They're
Right?
Yes, we
lacking
have.
comic books.
Yeah, whatever. Who needs it? It's DC Comics. You don't need comic books.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, going on there, the streaming service is pretty good. I love all the shows. Whatchamacallit? Batman Brave and the Bold touches on a lot of, like, their background villains and stuff, and it gives
esoteric guys.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Tom King is doing some fantastic stuff with Kite Man right now, which is hilarious.
I know you have a crush on Kite Man.
I mean, the man flies around on a giant kite. How could you not root for that guy?
There's so many good, like Firefly. Like, in what other universe is, like, a guy with a jetpack and a flamethrower? Like, you're a main, like, could be a villain that actually is credible.
I totally like that guy.
I mean, that was the things, one of the things that we brought up is, like, no one has a better rogue gallery than Batman.
Spider-Man comes
probably
really
close,
close.
very close, yeah.
I think if you're looking at comic books, Batman is far and away like the best rogues gallery, and they keep adding to it. Like, even when you don't mean to, you add to it.
Yeah, it's true.
Spider-Man's got some really good rogues, and I think probably in third after that, you're probably looking at the Flash.
Yeah,
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Rogues Flash gallery is fantastic.
Flash is
I agree with you.
I think who has the most trouble with the rogues gallery? You're looking at the Punisher. I feel like a lot of his
fights everybody.
antagonists don't make it to a second appearance.
Yeah, valid point.
Same with Ghost Rider.
Wait, was that sarcasm?
It was. Wow, we picked up on it. We're getting better here.
Oh my!
I feel like
Superman has a
he'd be the
decent
right
one, but-
he'd be the right one to clean up Gotham. I think
Ghost Rider or the Punisher?
either one.
They already tried that crossover.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did two of them. Oh man, they did two of them. So one of the times he was with Azrael, and then the second time he was like, "Oh yeah, that was when I wasn't Batman." I have those. I also have the Judge Dredd crossovers. Those
You know who would have cleaned up? Darkclaw would have cleaned up Gotham.
Amalgam Comics Dark Claw.
So I know it's not as long as some other characters, but famous loves. I mean, Catwoman being probably the most recent.
Catwoman, yeah.
I think that's where Batman falls into, like, his greatest
Batman's
thing.
first love is Batman.
Yeah, well, no. And don't say Robin. Please don't say Robin. Let's not go down that route.
That's
but
his second love.
I think his biggest problem is always finding someone that he doesn't have to turn off his Batman side with. So that's why Catwoman works. Wonder Woman too. Also because he's always going to have that fear of protecting them. Like, the one he loves is always going to be in danger. So
Yeah, but didn't Superman win out on the love with Wonder Woman?
that was in Doom 52.
This
only.
was before that. So we touched on this earlier. Grant Morrison relaunched JLA in 1997. He was on the series for like 40-something issues.
Phenomenal run.
Phenomenal run. Crazy big bombastic crossovers. Stuff that you would have.
Aquaman has a good run in that too.
All of the big seven there for.
check it out.
So So yeah, Aquaman is in it. It's awesome. Like you had the big seven, and then you had like some of their like extra characters wound up on the team too. There's a really funny scene where Catwoman whips Prometheus in between the legs. Funny stuff, but like also like dark, crazy widescreen action stuff.
The Justice League dying.
That was later on. So it was Grant Morrison. I think it was like a fill-in issue or two by somebody. Then Mark Waid took over for a little while. And those stories were pretty cool. And then Joe Kelly took over and did some really cool stuff with the League. There's a big Aquaman story. So, Jim, you should check this out. It's called The Obsidian Age.
You guys cost me so much money tonight.
Jim's been on DC, the DC app all night buying stuff.
So in all seriousness, this is one you want to check out. The Justice League has to go back in time to rescue Aquaman. At this point in the DCU, Aquaman died fighting in these Imperiex probes, or so we thought.
So this is the great Aquaman story you're telling him to read?
Yeah. Yes, because they go back to when Atlantis is still above water. The League shows up, goes back in time, and the portal closes, and they don't come back. So we don't know what happens to the League, and a replacement League has to take their place. So you get like this split storyline.
Headed up by Green Arrow.
Yes. No, it's headed up by Nightwing. Green Arrow's on the team, but Nightwing is put in charge. Batman leaves him in charge. So it's half of the... so every other issue switches back and forth between which team they're focusing on. Some of them are in the present, and some of them are in the past. So it's a really cool story, and the big thing that winds up happening from it, aside from spoilers, sorry, Jim,
it's all right.
Aquaman showing back up, being back in the present, Batman and Wonder Woman kind of have this weird relationship that kind of spins out of this thing, where like they're going into like what they think might be their final battle.
Batman's already dying at this point.
Yeah,
he's back in time, and he can't handle the what's in the atmosphere. So he's already sick. Like everybody else has a superpower.
He's a normal guy,
so he gets sick as soon as they land. So they're about to be taken out by said villains, and they're going into battle. This should be the end of them. You know, they're about to die.
The two of them just turn around, big kiss on the mouth, and then
go into battle.
Go into it.
Interesting.
So like they pick up on this, and this is a thread through Joe Kelly's run where, you know, will they, won't they? Like, what the heck are they doing? And it makes total sense. Batman's like the ultimate man. You know, and if you're Wonder Woman and you're from Themyscira and you're this Amazonian...
ultimate human man.
Yes. But that's the thing, is he's the ultimate man. You know, Superman is, yes.
Alien.
He's an alien. He's not from this planet. He's not from here. He doesn't necessarily...
Is he technically a citizen?
Alien's a sensitive word right now. You can't...
The man is an extraterrestrial.
There we go.
No, so he is the ultimate man. He doesn't rely on... I mean, he relies on, I guess, Alfred, but like he doesn't really rely on anyone else. Everything he's gotten, he's worked towards. He's the ultimate man in the fact that he's conditioned his body, conditioned his mind, conditioned all these things. And she is fantastic because he doesn't really have to worry about her getting caught in the crossfire. So like it was a really cool pairing for a while there.
I liked Zatanna too as a...
Zatanna's always a good
weird
one.
because again he trained under her father.
Yeah.
So that puts it like where it's never really going to work.
Well, you know, you're young, you're training with this guy, the daughter's cute. We've all had
like
those
the same deal with
situations.
Talia?
Yeah.
Talia too.
No.
I like her. You know, she's a good
I was
love
like
interest.
Talia
Puts him at, it puts him
Like,
at
how did that
odds.
story work out? Like, I've never actually... I know it's like kind of the Neil Adams time.
So that's like a back and forth. So Raish is introduced, or Raz is introduced in Batman 250.
Raish?
Is it Raz or
It's
Raish?
Raish.
I think it's
I think it's Raish.
I always said Roz, but then I heard it was wrong.
Because it has the little line over the A.
I think it's Raish. I don't recall. I have a friend who told me the correct pronunciation of it. He would know, and I forgot. I'm sorry, Atif.
You have friends?
I do.
Oh, it's intriguing.
But
I wouldn't peg it after all tonight.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody had a lot of free time to
Yeah,
shop.
their names were
alone in
Bruce
my
Wayne,
basement.
Wow.
Dick Grayson.
Dick
So,
Sprang.
I'd like to revisit the whole Aquaman, this whole thing when we reach Aquaman 1000. So we'll bring it back when that happens.
What are they
got
at now? 300?
40 years? We got 40 or 50 years.
are
for
they
that?
counting Adventure
I
Comics?
was trying to be sarcastic. That was me trying to be
That was
sarcastic.
good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it a
was
lot.
good try.
All right.
All right, you guys are.
I mean, there were other crushes. There were other romantic
Batman,
figures.
Fugitive.
So, oh, man.
Which, again, we cannot more recommend to people. Batman, Fugitive, Murderer, and what was the... Was it Murderer first?
It was Murderer first, then it was Batman Fugitive.
Phenomenal run again.
That's a really cool run. Batman Murderer was a really tight, cohesive story. Batman Fugitive was kind of like a running story through the titles. It didn't really follow through. Like it kind of benefited if you were reading all those books at the time. They had this cool little thing where they were putting little puzzle pieces on the front of the covers, and it would reveal who the murderer was after you wound up piecing them all together if you had Photoshop.
In 2003.
It was probably 2003. This was totally when I was first getting into comics, so this is one of the first big crossovers I was reading. I loved it. Looking back, Murderer was really good, really ambitious. Had a great fight in issue 600. Scott McDaniel on art, Ed Brubaker writing it, where Batman and Nightwing really go at it. Phenomenal dynamic artwork.
Then there was the that one-off story. It was a Justice League story where they go to hell, and everybody sees their worst. Remember it? And everyone sees their worst thing, and Wonder Woman ends up seeing Batman as the love of her life. And who else? Somebody else sees a. I can't remember who the other one was.
Was it? Oh, I have no idea.
But that was a really good one. It was a really good look because the first level they get to is Batman and Plastic Man, and they're dubbed as liars. Because Plastic Man was always the villain, and that became the hero, and Batman's pretending to be somebody else.
Interesting.
So then every level of hell is a different person, so they get to that, and
so kind of like Dante's Inferno.
This sounds like it's probably like tied into Underworld Unleashed or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was just a one-off.
Huh.
I can't remember who the villain was at the end, but it was a really good storyline. But yeah, they touched on people.
I forgot the original question we asked here.
Batman's love life.
Does it matter?
It does not matter.
All right, this has been a fantastic ode to Batman, guys. All kidding aside, I think
you've blown us all away.
We could have researched Batman for a year and still not put together.
I'm blown away.
Like
my head has exploded many times today.
I think you guys are the perfect people to bring in to talk about what's his name again? I'm sorry, I keep
it's Fred Wayne.
Bruce.
Yeah, there you go.
Bruce.
Well,
yeah, very masculine. Very masculine.
I named my dog Bruce Wayne. So
didn't they change David
Hasselhoff?
Bruce Banner's name to David because Bruce wasn't a masculine enough name?
Yes.
You got a problem with the name Bruce?
I'm just asking a question. I'm not making any insinuations either way.
Because Clark is so much better.
Oh, it sounds like such a strong name.
It's got a good finish. It's got a good hard Ed, K and K at the end. It's good. It's good. I can see.
One weakness, Martha.
Apparently, weaknesses for both.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but he's still man.
You guys have proven that you know everything about Batman.
Now let's see if I know nothing.
Now let's see if I could stump you guys. This is Be to Geek Batman edition.
So I still don't get the Wi-Fi password.
Nope,
right?
absolutely not. So
not giving you that.
I'm going to ask you 10 questions, possibly 11, depending on the tie. First, whoever answers the most questions by the end wins.
By the way, I'm using the mute button every time he talks.
So I'm going to start with one of you, and whoever's turn it is, if you get it wrong or don't know the answer, the other person can.
Can we just give Zach the win, and I don't have to participate?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's going first?
I'll start with you, Tom.
Oh no!
You ready?
Oh no!
All right.
We'll go with the more handsomer.
So Zach.
All right, Tom. What Batman villain carves a tally mark somewhere on himself for each of his victims?
Mr. Zaz.
Ding, ding, ding.
First appeared in Batman's Shadow of the Bat
Of course you knew that. Had to overshadow me.
I knew that one too.
Zach, what was the first Batman-themed vehicle?
Ooh. Batmobile.
Wrong. Oh, why? It was the Bat.
I actually gave him this one the other day.
Yeah, good thing you cut me off because I was about to say it, but you can save.
Was it the Bat Cycle?
It was not.
Batwing?
Ooh, yes.
It was a bat plane.
Batplane, I'm sorry. Detective Comics 31.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what? You asked the question
Got me on that
earlier.
one.
The Batman Archive editions are normally like $50, but probably like 15 years ago, they were on sale. Like the first Batman one was like $20. It was trying to get, I guess, people to buy the Archive editions, so they would start buying more of them. So I had those early ones and I read those, but it was like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He's trying to get bonus points. Don't give him credit on that one.
So we're at 1-0.
Yeah. All right, Zach. What villain once tried to change Gotham's water supply into chocolate?
Oh my god.
This is great.
Turned it into chocolate. This is gonna not be a normal villain, is it? I desperately want to say Condiment King, but he's a one-off joke character that they want to bring back for the animated series.
I'll give you a hint. It was in the New Adventures of Batman.
The New Adventures of Batman.
Whoa, hints?
What?
Oh, this isn't fair. You give him all the easy ones.
It's a hard question.
The New Adventures of Batman.
It's a very hard question.
All right, I think he's done.
I'm gonna go with the Riddler.
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
You want to try?
Was it Wilford Brimley trying to give everybody diabetes? Oh, I'm out.
It was Sweet Tooth.
Ooh.
He tried to blackmail the city for $5 million, which he then doubled to $10 million after Robin made a pun about his weight.
Now, in all seriousness, if you're going to turn a water supply to chocolate syrup, how much money does that require? Is it even worth the $5 million
Now, was it
ransom?
chocolate syrup? Or just
chocolate. I don't know.
just
I don't know
seems
if it was
like
more specifically syrup or
I
chocolate
mean,
sauce.
I would still eat it, but if it's coming from the sewer, I have to.
Can you
rejudge
flush?
it.
Can you flush with chocolate?
I would have gave him the money. He's right.
Matt,
Yeah,
ask the next question.
Rocket science. Just say yes and we'll move on.
Hi.
All right, Zach. Which of these Bat villains was first introduced? The Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Penguin, or Catwoman?
Catwoman.
Good.
Batman #1.
Very good.
Again with all the easy ones.
She was the cat.
Tom.
Yes.
Victor Freeze first appeared as Mr. Freeze in Detective Comics 373, but before that he appeared under a different identity in the much earlier Batman 121. What was his name?
I almost bought it and I can't remember now.
Really?
Oh, come on, guys. Oh, I cannot remember. You can give it to him. He knows it.
Mr. Zero.
I knew that.
I know. I just couldn't think of it. I was going to say Captain Cold because it was the only thing that come to mind. I was so messed up.
Captain Cold?
Well,
Is
from
it
the Flash.
I know that.
But that's the only thing that could pop in my mind. I couldn't think of Mr. Zero. I'm sorry.
So it's Tom again, right?
What's the
Yeah.
what's the score now?
2-1, Zach. All right, Tom, ready?
Yeah.
Who first replaced Batman when he was paralyzed by Bane?
Azrael.
Good. All right, Zach.
Awesome suit. I don't care what people say. He had claws.
The Scarecrow once used his fear gas on the Joker. What was the Clown Prince of Crime's greatest fear?
Oh, man.
Running out of makeup.
Oh.
He doesn't use it. That's what his face looks like.
There was such a cool, going back to that Grant Morrison run,
Is this the answer to the question?
No, it's not at all the answer to the question. I'm totally stalling. Joker goes sane for a second and feels horrible at everything he's done. I'm gonna go with snake clowns.
Nope.
I told you I'd work Lego Batman into this.
Tom?
No more Batman.
Nope. Had no effect.
Trick question.
Joker number 8.
From the early run.
I guess you didn't read it.
It's still sitting on my nightstand.
All right, whose turn is it?
We both got
Zach's.
That was
Yeah,
mine
sorry.
first.
Batman was first referred to as the Dark Knight in Batman number 1, but he was called something else in number 2 that never stuck. What was it?
Mr. Flappy Wings.
It didn't stick.
Didn't stick?
In number 2, it didn't stick. The Winged Wonder.
Since detectives are also referred to as dicks, I would say make a joke on that because that one wouldn't last too long. But I have no idea.
Give up.
Batty.
The Black Knight.
Oh,
That was a pretty good. Batty wasn't a bad answer.
Which of the following is one of Alfred's hobbies? Butterfly watching, collecting.
Wait, whose question is this?
It'd be
Zach's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Butterfly watching, collecting stamps, breeding roses, or bowling.
Roses.
Good.
oh, I knew that one.
Nice.
Oh. I was gonna say horticulture. They would do the real word. Yes.
Tom, who was the first female Robin?
I have to go with Carrie Kelly.
Nope.
Zach.
1966 Batman TV series. What was her name? She fell into the reactor. Oh my God.
You guys went deep.
Molly somebody? No?
Julie Madison, Detective Comics 49.
Yo, get out. So I was going to bring this up when we were talking about love interest. Julie Madison was engaged to Bruce Wayne in the first issue of Batman. How about that?
How about them apples?
You guys, this is mean. This
All right,
is
one more
embarrassing
question.
me in front of the loyal fans.
Zach.
Oh, it's me? Uh-oh.
Zeech.
No.
No, it's Tom.
It's Tom.
Tom, I'm sorry.
That one
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Which actor was offered the role and essentially used as bait in order to get a hesitant Jack Nicholson to accept the role of the Joker in Batman 1989?
Ooh, I think I know this one too.
Damned if I know. I'll say Michael Caine.
No.
Because that'd be hilarious.
Can you repeat the question?
What actor was offered the role and essentially used as bait in order to get a hesitant Jack Nicholson to accept the role of the Joker in Batman 1989?
So the role was offered, role of the Joker was offered to somebody else?
So it was first offered to Jack Nicholson. He didn't want to do it. It was offered to this other person, and he actually accepted it. Nicholson got jealous and said he would do it.
I'm going to go with, and I don't actually know if this is true or not, but it allows me to do my Christopher Walken impression.
Can I venture a guess if you didn't get that right?
That's not right. Go ahead.
I'm going to say Warren Beatty.
Tom Cruise.
I know the answer.
Tom Cruise.
Robin Williams.
Correct.
Oh.
Son of a gun.
And he was so
You know what?
mad
I heard that too, and
he was so mad about that he did not work for Warner Brothers after that.
Did he work for Disney?
he got mad about that too.
I know he did.
Yep.
So is there a tiebreaker in this? Are we even?
You won.
Zach won 3-2.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was. I thought you guys were.
Can we get the tiebreaker anyway? Just throw it out there.
Well,
Let's
that actually was a tiebreaker.
But
I got a couple more if you want them.
all
They're
right.
kind of easy though.
yeah.
Let me get back in this game.
First to 5 wins.
Best of 7.
Well, best of 5. We got stuff to talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, we can stop it.
No. Do 2 more.
All right. What Batman villain was murdered and thrown into Slaughter Swamp?
That's tough.
Solomon Grundy.
Good.
On a Monday.
You wanted to do that
Yeah,
so
he was
bad. I
so
guess.
bad. Solomon Grundy wants pants too.
All right, rapid fire round. Next one.
Go.
Okay. Who was recruited by Batman Incorporated to be Le Batman of France?
Night Runner.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Next.
Got one more. What was the name of the unknown serial killer in the comic book The Long Halloween?
Oh, it was
Oh, what?
Fred.
that's not
No.
with the villain's name or with the person actually.
No, they were
was, who was
called in the newspapers.
Oh,
They would kill on holidays.
Unnamed.
What's that?
The unnamed.
yeah. I know who it was, but I'm not going to ruin that for everybody too because we did enough spoilers today. All right, Zach, just take the win. Let's go.
That's the thing. I don't actually know it. It was the
5, 4, 3.
Can I
Two.
say it if they don't get it?
go for it.
Go.
Was it the calendar killer?
No, because Calendar Man was a suspect
already-
that wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
sorry.
something
He
like
was in
the
Cell Game.
It was just Holiday.
Holiday.
Son of a gun! I was going to say
You said
that.
the word holiday.
Nice.
Sorry, Zach
Nicely
still
done.
wins.
That was nicely done. Nicely done.
Why do I always lose?
Good job, Matt. It was well put together.
Nicely done, sir.
Cool.
Quite impressed.
So kind of what we're going to do now is just kind of recap what's been going on in the world of comics, what we're reading. I guess you guys can just jump into if you don't take 3 hours to talk about it.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, so at the end of every episode now, we're going to talk about what we're currently reading, what we just finished reading, what we're watching, anything like that.
You guys read comics?
Sometimes.
No way. I read comics too.
No, we read
way.
the novelization of comic books.
I read the Greg Rucka novel, Batman No Man's Land.
I actually read the novel of Death of Superman.
Really?
Very good. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So what are you guys reading right now?
Reading. I just actually finished Charming. Was it Dark Prince Charming from Batman? I can't remember who's working on it, but I actually really
the Italian
enjoyed it.
graphic novel.
Yes, I really enjoyed that one.
Nice.
It was different. It was different little play on Batman. I liked it. Wrapped up nicely.
Recommended?
recommend.
Cool. Tom Pollari recommendation there.
Zach?
I mean, I'm still reading Batman. I'm still reading Detective Comics. I haven't finished the last 2 issues, so I sometimes let stuff pile up a little bit. Life gets in the way. But
It's nice that you can read a few at once.
Yeah, I have the culmination, the finale, if you will, of Archie meets Batman 66. It has been fantastic so far.
And Billy Tucci does a cover of that. I'm going to throw that in.
I do believe he did. I do believe I picked that one up.
Nope, he did.
Zach reads all the children's comic books.
He has a full run of SpongeBob.
I was gutted when Steven Hillenburg died, and I was gutted when I found out that Bongo Comics wasn't like putting out comics anymore. I do have all 85 issues of SpongeBob, plus all the Summer Spectaculars, plus all the other ones, all the annuals.
Crazy.
I don't feel comfortable sitting next to him.
Come closer,
Nor should
Tom. But yeah, no, I collect a lot of the kids comics because the kids comics is the stuff that I wound up like getting involved with in the first place. All those Batman Adventures comics back in the day, I have all of them. I have all Batman Adventures. I have all Batman and Robin Adventures, Gotham Adventures, Batman Beyond, the Justice League comic books that tied into all that stuff, and even stuff like Billy Batson and the Magic of Shazam. But that's all not stuff I'm reading currently. What have I read recently that was really good?
Do you read mostly just new comics that you're catching up on?
Yeah, these days I just moved, so all my stuff's in boxes, and I still haven't gotten stuff out of boxes.
Who helped you move?
Lots of people. Thanks, guys.
I was busy that day.
Thanks, Matt. Matt helped me move some stuff.
Helped
and then
twice.
You did help twice, and then TC and Tom over here came over and helped me move some furniture out of my garage a few weeks back. All my comics are still in boxes. I've just been keeping up with.
You didn't look inside those boxes after I left,
have
right?
not looked inside those.
They got
boxes.
much lighter.
Cool. Just checking.
Oh no. New stuff I'm just reading. I'm reading mostly DC stuff. I cannot recommend, and I'm going to sound like a weirdo right now. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is probably one of the best
You've been
titles
recommending that
Forever.
to me for years.
It is amazing.
I read
He
it
got
in the
me to buy a
beginning.
run.
I couldn't stick with it.
He got
It's
me.
so funny. They just wrapped up a Skrull arc. Like
Squirrel?
no, there is
All right,
a
Jim, what are you reading, Jim?
I'm on issue 23 of 26 of Gotham City Sirens. I've been reading that on the DC Universe, so I'm 3 issues away.
It's an awesome run.
I've been reading it almost every single day.
Nice.
I thought it's a great. I've never read it. It's a pretty good story. I dig it. It's the only thing I have issues with is, and I understand everybody's different. The artists, there's different artists in there, and you can definitely tell from one issue to another
off.
when you see a big difference.
You're getting a fill in.
It throws off. I think it throws off the storyline because you're reading something and you're probably 3 or 4 issues into this segment, and then you read the next book, and then it's a different art. You're like, oh. So great story though. I love all the different little stories in it.
So Paul Dini wrote all those issues. Paul Dini was involved in the Batman the Animated Series stuff. Nothing against Bruce Timm because I love his art style, but when you read Paul Dini's stuff, you understand where the great stories came from when they did those series. Gotham City Sirens is all Paul Dini. All of it's fantastic. He did a fantastic run on Detective Comics. Don Kramer did artwork on it. I'm totally messing up on who else did the artwork during that run. But they made Riddler a semi-decent guy in that run.
And he did the own story when he was actually attacked.
Yes.
That was awesome as well.
Yes. He did that for Vertigo.
Yep, I enjoyed that.
I don't remember the title.
So so that's what I'm reading. And I'll just throw in real quick. I just finished up the 10 or 11 episodes of Umbrella Academy.
Nice.
Good.
I really liked it.
I'm on episode 3. I just finished episode 3.
Wow, you watched the whole thing
I
already?
watched the whole thing. I think I did it in 3 days.
Who's your favorite character?
I like Klaus. Klaus.
Zach, you read it, right?
I
Is
read
that number 5?
No.
No, number 5's
Okay, I
my
read
favorite.
book. You gave me book 1. Too.
He's the drug addict guy. He's
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's funny as
I have no
hell.
idea. I haven't watched
He's funny
it.
as
so
hell.
funny.
The girl who plays, and I mentioned this in one of the episodes that we did. I can't stand Ellen Page. I still don't like her after the 11 episodes.
She's good in Super. Is the only time I really.
I don't like her.
I brought that up.
I love
brought that up
Super.
last time.
She's just. There's no emotion. There's no
Doesn't
emotion.
resonate with you?
Just.
Yeah.
She's an odd character. She's an odd person in general. I don't know if she fits.
I like Juno a little bit.
I don't think I've seen that, but I don't think she fits.
Okay, that's fair.
That's me. But I like that, so I've been finishing that, and I'm almost caught up on the what do you call it? The Doom Patrol.
Nice.
Awesome.
Have you guys? I'm guessing you have then caught up on Young Justice. Because
I haven't. I need to.
Young Justice.
Phenomenal so far.
I've
is that
seen.
on?
No, we're talking about Doom Patrol, the series on live action.
But
He's
it's
talking
also,
about
it's also
Young
on the streaming
Justice.
service.
Yeah, and there's a new
Young
season of Young
Justice.
Justice.
Yeah, I don't watch the cartoon.
What is
Dude,
that
it's
on?
really good.
Oh, that's a cartoon.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
they
gotta
started
watch
as
the
Teen
cartoons.
Titans, but this series is like very adult.
I'm sure it's very
like,
good.
It's
I
actually
just
it's
have
really
so
great.
limited time. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't jump on the
Do you
cartoons
want my
until I
password?
get extra
I'm
time.
not sharing passwords.
No. I'm thinking about it. Bruce
Young
Greenwood.
Justice is phenomenal.
Bruce Greenwood does the voice of.
It's okay, Matt. You can just give your answers next.
No.
So Bruce Greenwood does the voice of Batman in the Young Justice universe. I was about to say like he's the second best animated Batman, but there are so many good iterations and voices for Batman over the course of all of those like DC movies.
Dr. Peter Weller.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
Doctor
fantastic.
Peter Weller.
He was really good.
Dr. Peter Weller.
He was fantastic in Dark Knight Returns.
Couldn't turn off the RoboCop sound in his voice at some points though.
There were a couple of points where he was a little
Yes,
robotic.
Jim said he was corrected when he met Peter Weller.
Yes, he corrected me because I met him, got his autograph, and hey, I've always wanted to meet you, Mr. I think I said Mr. Weller, and he's like, it's Doctor, because he just became a doctor. So he
Guess what he got his doctorate in?
Art history.
Cold.
Yep.
Was it cold?
I knew it.
Was he Mr.
Yeah,
Freeze?
and you need to refer to him as Dr. Peter Weller.
Oh, I won't.
He corrected me, and many
I
people.
won't.
What do you know? What his dissertation was about in art history? I'm legitimately interested.
I have no idea.
TC, get on that. No, not TC. Toy Story. Sorry.
TY?
TS.
Matt, your turn.
So I've been watching Umbrella Academy also. I'm only on episode 4, but I'm really liking it. That's next. I've been reading Hellboy. Never read Hellboy before.
Hellboy is awesome.
I just read volume 1 today, actually, and I'm digging it.
Wait, seriously? Just the first volume?
Yeah, I just started
You
today.
have such a ride in front
I'm
of
very
you.
excited.
You have such
It's
a ride
so
in
good.
front of you.
I read it all in one sitting.
Mignola is just awesome.
Yeah.
I love his Batman stuff too.
I'm very excited.
100%. Legends of the Dark Knight number 51 seems about right. It's called Sanctum. It's a
Wait,
one-shot.
punches Orion too.
What's that?
Punch Orion? Who'd he punch?
That was in Cosmic Odyssey.
Yeah.
What are you talking about,
punched
Conan?
Orion, right?
Where he punched
I
the
think he
camel?
did.
Yeah.
No.
punched the new
Ultimate
god.
scene.
Mike Mignola drew the series Cosmic Odyssey. It was a 4-issue prestige format series in the 80s. That's the one where Xanshi is destroyed and Jon Stewart is responsible. It's like a defining character moment for Green Lantern.
Oh, that's why I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care for the
Regardless, it's all drawn by Mignola and like Batman slugs. I want to say I think you're right. Orion in the face, which is pretty rocking.
And like the entire Justice League's behind him, just shocked, dumbfounded. He's punching a new
But this is
god.
like the 80s when Batman was punching everybody. He punched Guy Gardner.
One punch knocked out Guy Gardner, best superhero ever.
I think that was Black Canary's saddest day, and that is counting when Green Arrow died. It was like she missed Batman punching out Guy.
Yeah.
I didn't even get that. I guess she doesn't like Guy Gardner.
No one likes Guy Gardner. I love Guy Gardner.
I like Guy Gardner.
What did you buy? That Guy Gardner series, Warrior?
No, it was Emerald Warriors. It was a 13-issue series. It wasn't just him. It was also
when he becomes his own hero.
Oh, yeah, I had all those. It was Guy Gardner, and it was Guy Gardner Warrior.
We should start producing podcasts along with doing a podcast. So we'll just give these guys their own show.
That's what I'm talking about. I've been thinking about that all night.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go with mine. I have been watching. I did watch the 3rd episode at this point. I think by the time this episode will be released, there'll probably be 5 that they have in total for Doom Patrol. Really like the 3rd episode. The 1st and the 3rd have been really good so far. The 2nd one's okay. It was just a little.
It was hokey, right?
Yeah, not as much happening in the 2nd one.
I got to check it out.
I did just finish up the 2nd series of Punisher. I was a little bit late on that.
Nice.
I thought that was fantastic. I personally liked it better than the 1st season, mostly
Really?
because Micro got very annoying to me.
I liked his input.
There was a 3 or 4 episode in a row where him and the Punisher are just in like that like whatever hole that
I just started watching this yesterday. I didn't watch the 1st season. I just started yesterday, and
It's good.
I feel like it's good, but I just feel like they're in his room and he's
Yeah,
tied to a
it's-
freaking chair.
Yeah, and that
putting in buttons every so.
I feel like
But I
that
liked
lasted
it
just a
'cause
little too long.
It reined, Punisher in a little bit. They do it with another character in season 2. Which I'm not gonna get
Yeah,
into, but
I didn't. I strangely enough, where she would seem like she'd be more annoying, but I actually liked her better than Micro personally. Where I can see where people wouldn't, but
has anyone given Which that new show I can't remember.
No, that's cool. I was finished talking about my
sorry.
recommendations.
You're thinking about Deadly Class.
We'll get back over to you. Don't worry. So what I've been reading, I've been trying to catch up reading. I'm very behind on my Marvel stuff, but I've been catching up on. Have read Batman.
You still buy Marvel stuff?
Have you read it? Have you read the new
Spider-Man still made by Marvel?
Spider-Man?
Understood.
Yeah. So Spider-Man and the Star Wars stuff is fantastic on the Marvel side, and that's pretty much all I read. But when I catch up, I'll speak to that. But Batman's been pretty good.
Yep.
They brought back those new characters that showed up in the beginning of Gotham
Girl.
and Gotham Girl. But they've kind of left that briefly to do this Price crossover with Flash, which I think I'm only part 1 and part 2 so far, and it's just like,
I haven't read any of it yet. I have all 4 sitting on my nightstand.
I've read Catwoman. I caught up on Catwoman, which I've enjoyed so far.
Good.
Heroes in Crisis is interesting. I don't have an opinion yet. I'll be honest. I'm kind of trying to see where it goes.
I gotta get
What's the other DC stuff I'm reading? I really tried to like catch up on a lot of stuff.
Superman books. Come on.
Oh, where's my head at?
Right?
I love those. So me and Zach actually had this exact conversation the other night. I really like what they've been doing since the beginning of Rebirth with him, and except for the. Most recently, I hope this is not a spoiler alert, but they've aged his son.
Yeah,
I haven't read like the next episode where he explains it, and I'm like, I really hope they just retro-con it back to him being younger again. I like him and Damian being kind of like the same age, and I like their interaction with each other. But that's mostly what I've been doing. I'm sure there's other DC books, but I can't remember them, so they're not important enough to mention. All right, Tom, you want to talk about a show?
I just Deadly Class. I was asking if anybody watched it.
Oh, no, I haven't. I love that book, though.
I love the book, so I was
What is that on?
Sci-fi.
Have you read the book?
No.
Highly rated. It's really Image.
Rick
Really
Remender, Image, pretty good.
80s punk scene.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
It's a school for
Add it to my
assassins.
list.
It's like Harry Potter.
I've seen the ads, the previews for it.
No,
Just
the book-
haven't-
Isn't the
Book's
guy
great.
from Doctor Strange in that, Wong?
Yes.
He's on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the series was written by Rick Remender, art by Wes Craig. I would definitely give it a look-see.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we finally got through everything. This is definitely our longest episode so far, but I mean, I don't think there's anything in here that wasn't cool to listen to from us, from a comic fan. I mean,
Undead Ink Royal Collectibles in Queens.
yeah,
The saying.
we Undead Ink and Royal Collect. Oh,
Royal
sorry, I was like Undead Ink isn't.
That's a double plug.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a great episode. Thank you guys. We'll have to have you on again, or
thank
maybe
you for
just
being
give
here.
you your own show and we'll put.
Actually, just Zach. We'll just keep Zach. We'll invite Zach back.
Wow. Now you sound like my parents. Always want to keep Zach and get rid of me.
I could be.
No, thank you guys so much for being here, though.
Yeah, this
Oh, it was
a
an
good episode.
absolute blast, guys.
pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're geniuses in Batman.
I mean,
Oh, he is. I just live off him.
that's a stretch, man. Absolutely not.
So I guess at this point, is this where we say until next time? Remember.
Don't be the geeks!